Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. We bring you hundreds of novel audiobooks covering every genre and every kind of story you can imagine. Action? We've got it. Adventure? Absolutely. Horror? Of course. Whether it's the legendary Uchiha massacre or outrageous tales like stealing Naruto's and Sasuke's women, you'll find it here. From epic series like One Piece, Bleach, Fairy Tail, and Hunter x Hunter, to countless other adventures, our library has it all. Love novels but don't have time to read? No worries, just plug in your earbuds, sit back, and let the story take over. Good listening, and happy hearing, Orochimaru said, a small smirk curling his lips. Don't smile like that, Orochimaru. It's creepy. You'll scare children. Now, for the answer to your question. Shin crossed his arms. The Mangekyo Sharingan isn't the pinnacle of the Sharingan's evolution. There's something beyond it. The eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Only by awakening it can the true power of these eyes be unleashed. The eternal Mangekyo Sharingan? Orochimaru pondered this for a moment, then asked. Shin, how do you awaken the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan? You're asking me that? You really don't know your place. But I'm in a good mood, so I'll tell you. To awaken the eternal Mangekyo, you have to transplant the Mangekyo Sharingan of a sibling. Someone related by blood who also possesses Mangekyo. Having said that, Shin no longer bothered with Orochimaru, taking Conan's hand and preparing to leave. Before leaving, Shin glanced at Nawaki. Nawaki, aren't you leaving? Or do you want to reminisce with Orochimaru? Of course I'm leaving. I'm a Hidden Leaf Village missing ninja now. Nawaki said, following Shin and Conan. Orochimaru didn't snap out of his daze until long after Shin left. Transplant a sibling's Mangekyo Sharingan? That's brutal. Orochimaru said with a sinister smile. Obtaining the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan is difficult. He frowned. Even awakening the Mangekyo Sharingan was difficult, let alone having two siblings awaken it. Then he realized something. If that was the case, how did Shin obtain the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan? Shin didn't have any siblings. Where did his eyes come from? Was there another way? And was Shin's explanation true? He wasn't sure. After all, he didn't know Shin well and didn't trust him. Whether he's lying or not, it's worth a try. Orochimaru decided to try it. But it wouldn't be easy. He would have to target the Uchiha clan. As the strongest clan in Hidden Leaf Village, the Uchiha clan was powerful. Even Hiruzen Sarutobi was wary of them. It wouldn't be easy for Orochimaru to target them. Of course, whether Orochimaru decided to target the Uchiha clan or not was none of Shin's business. Shin, what do you want that summoning contract for? You don't need it, do you? Conan asked, pointing at the scroll in Shin's hand. Shin smiled. It wasn't that he had no use for it. He had his reasons. Specifically, he wanted to meet the White Snake Sage in person someday. Chapter 203, Shin on the verge of being chopped to pieces. Shin temporarily stored the Richie Cave summoning contract. He wasn't planning on visiting the legendary Sage region just yet. He turned his attention to Nawaki. That burn on your arm. Want me to heal it? I won't leave a single scar. Not that I'm bragging or anything. Nawaki glanced at his scorched arm. Though Shin had extinguished the Amaterasu flames in time, the burns were severe. After a moment of thought, he shook his head. I'll keep it. A reminder of this lesson. So, Nawaki, what are your plans? Conan and I are returning to the land of whirlpools. Want to come with us? Nah, I think I'll pass. Not sure how Tsunade would react. She might try to discipline me. Nawaki was terrified of Tsunade. If she found out how close he had came to death because of his recklessness, she'd give him a lecture he'd never forget. Where are you going, then? Plenty of places to see. I'm going to travel the world. A wistful look entered Nawaki's eyes. He had been wandering the shinobi world for years, but his focus had always been on revenge and training. Now that Uzumaki Kai was dead, he could finally relax and explore. Shin and Nawaki parted ways. As long as Nawaki didn't do anything reckless, he'd be fine. His strength was more than enough to protect himself. Conan, we've been away for a while. Time to head back. They had been gone for over half a month and hadn't returned to the land of whirlpools once. He wondered if Kushina and the others were angry. Are we really going back? Conan blushed, suddenly nervous. She wasn't sure how to face Kushina, Mikoto, and Tsunade. Don't be shy, Conan. It'll be fine. Shin said, ruffling her hair. Shin, you messed up my hair. Conan swatted his hand away and smoothed her hair. I'm worried they'll be angry. They won't. And even if they are, what can they do? I'm here. Shin puffed out his chest confidently. Conan looked at him, then lowered her head. Hey, Conan, do you not trust me? Don't worry, as long as I'm there, they won't say a thing. It seemed his reassurances weren't very reassuring. Conan hesitated, but she didn't say anything. She didn't want to hurt Shin's pride. She was kind and gentle, she wouldn't do that. Even if Conan wanted to avoid the inevitable confrontation, she couldn't run forever. Let's use Yamatsu Hirasaka. Shin opened a swirling black portal. So, Shin, you must be missing Kashina and the others, right? Conan pouted slightly. She was jealous, though she didn't want to admit it. Shin chuckled. You're right. I do miss them. It's been a while. Shin picked Conan up and stepped through the portal, appearing in the courtyard of their home in the land of whirlpools. Shin. Conan. You're finally back. Mikoto set down her watering can and rushed over, a delighted smile on her face. Shin set the blushing Conan down and hugged Mikoto. Mikoto, did you miss me? Of course I did. It's been so long. Mikoto replied, a playful glint in her eyes. Ahem. Shin coughed awkwardly and quickly changed the subject. Where are Kashina and Tsunade? Did they go train? No, they didn't go train. Kashina dragged Tsunade out to recruit shinobi for Hidden Sand Village. Huh? When will they be back? Probably around evening. Though I doubt they'll find any suitable shinobi. I doubt it too. I wonder when Kashina will give up on this village idea. I don't understand why she wants to create a hidden village. Shin shrugged. Conan, why is your face so red? Mikoto turned her attention to Conan, a puzzled look on her face. Maybe it's because it's hot? Conan said quickly. Really? Mikoto looked at her skeptically. She had a feeling something was off. Near evening, Kashina and Tsunade finally returned. Shin. You're back. Kashina rushed over and hugged him, much to Tsunade's annoyance. She had wanted to hug him, too, but Kashina had beaten her to it. Shin, I think you should explain what happened with Conan. Mikoto gave Shin a sweet smile, but her eyes held a warning. Huh? What are you talking about, Mikoto? Kashina and Tsunade looked at her, confused. Ask Shin. While Kashina and Tsunade were out, Mikoto had managed to get the full story from Conan. She was upset, though she'd been expecting it. After all, she'd guessed it might happen. Kashina and Tsunade looked at Shin, while Conan hid her blushing face. Shin sighed. It was all up to him now. Conan is my woman now. He decided to be straightforward. There was no point hiding it, Mikoto already knew. What? Shin, how do you want to die? Kashina's fists clenched, and her chakra flared. Kashina, calm down. Shin said quickly. Calm down? How can I calm down? You're dead meat. Kashina drew her kunai. Though she didn't have a kitchen knife, a kunai would do the job just as well. Shin froze. Was she serious? He could already see the pearly gates of heaven opening for him. No, he wouldn't go to heaven. He would go to hell. Chapter 204, Smooth Talker. Ahaha, Kashina, you're not actually going to do it, are you? You wouldn't hurt me, would you? Why not? Scumbags deserve to be punished, don't they? Kashina said angrily. Shin was speechless. He couldn't deny being a scumbag. Humphrey, if there's a next time, you're really dead. Kashina sheathed her kunai and glared at Shin. He breathed a sigh of relief. She was just bluffing. He had been putting on an act, but inwardly, he'd been calm. Tsunade, what do you think? Kashina had calmed down, now it was Tsunade's turn. What do I think? What can I say? Tsunade also glared at Shin, then turned away. What was done. And she'd been expecting this. Besides, compared to Kashina and Mikoto, she was the latecomer. She didn't really have much say in this matter. Conan, don't be shy. Kashina sat down and patted Conan's shoulder. I'm not shy. Your face is so red. If that's not shy, what is it? Kashina said, looking at Conan's blushing face. Is my face really that red? Conan touched her cheeks. They were warm. She hadn't looked in a mirror, but they must be red. Kashina, I heard you went to recruit shinobi for Hidden Sand Village. Did you find any suitable candidates? Shin asked. Do you even need to ask? Just look at us. Obviously not. Tsunade said first. She didn't care about Kashina's hidden village. If Kashina hadn't dragged her along, she wouldn't have gone. We didn't find anyone. There aren't many strong female shinobi in the world. Kashina said, disappointed. She wanted to build a village of beautiful and powerful kunoichi, so of course she was looking for female shinobi. Kashina, even if you did find someone, how would you convince them to join? Kidnap them first, then persuade them later. Too bad I haven't found any suitable targets yet. Well, that's unfortunate for whoever you target. Shin started feeling sorry for any kunoichi who might catch Kashina's attention. By the way, what exactly were you and Conan doing out there? You weren't just doing that the entire time. Were you? Kushina looked at Shin and Conan with a mischievous grin. Kushina nay. What are you saying? Conan stomped her foot and hurried into the kitchen to help Mikoto with dinner. And to escape Kushina's teasing. What do you think I am? Shin glared at Kushina. We ran into Nawaki in the land of rain. You met Nawaki? How is he? What was he doing in the land of rain? Tsunada's brow furrowed. The land of rain was a war zone. What was Nawaki doing there? He is fine. With his strength, as long as he doesn't do anything stupid, he can protect himself. Nawaki's strength had reached Kage level. Kage level shinobi were generally safe. They could always run if they couldn't win. And Uzumaki Kai is dead. Though he died by my hand, Nawaki's revenge is complete. That's good. Tsunada nodded. She was relieved to hear Nawaki was fine. Dinner's ready. Mikoto and Conan emerged from the kitchen, carrying dishes laden with food. Wow, this looks amazing. Of course. We made it especially for your return. Mikoto said with a smile. Really? Thank you, Mikoto. No need to thank me. Let's eat before it gets cold. After dinner, as they sat around sipping tea, Shin asked. Kushina, Tsunada, I'm guessing you haven't been training while I was gone, right? Who said that? I've been training hard. Asked Mikoto. Kushina replied quickly. You're a terrible liar. Shin could tell Kushina was lying. He knew her too well. Kushina stuck out her tongue playfully, hoping to get away with it. I think I'm already quite strong. Really? In my eyes, you're still weak. Only after mastering Sage Mode can you be considered above Kage level. That's just your opinion. I feel like I could take on any Kage. Kushina said confidently. She was right. The other Kage weren't a match for her. But compared to Six Paths level, they were still weak. You still need to train. Both of you are weaker than Mikoto. Shin looked at Tsunada and Kushina. Tsunada and Kushina used to be stronger than Mikoto, but now, with her eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, Mikoto surpassed them. Fine. We'll train seriously starting tomorrow. Kushina said, a bit dejected. It seemed she wouldn't be able to continue her search for Kunoichi to join Hidden Sand Village. But she had to get stronger. She wouldn't be left behind by Mikoto. Shin, will you help me with Sage Mode tomorrow? Conan asked. She was close to mastering Sage Mode. Perhaps in a few days, she'd be able to use it. Of course. I'll guide you tomorrow, Conan. Don't give up if it gets tough. I won't. Conan shook her head. She wasn't afraid of hard work. She had always been the most diligent, and that was why her strength had increased so rapidly. After chatting for a while, it got late, and they all went to bed. Why am I alone again? Shin sighed as he returned to his room. He had wanted to visit Kushina, Mikoto, and Tsunada, but they had kicked him out. Chapter 205, Journey to Richie Cave. The next morning, Shin noticed Kushina's dark circles and asked. Kushina, did you not sleep well last night? You have the nerve to ask? Kushina snapped, glaring at him. Shin, bewildered by her sudden hostility, racked his brain trying to figure out what had he done. He had tried to go to Kushina's room last night, but she had kicked him out. But instead of sleeping, Kushina had stayed up, fully expecting him to try again. She had waited the entire night for a late-night ambush. But it never came. And after losing sleep over it, she was now nursing a grudge. And it wasn't just her. Tsunada and Mikoto had done the same thing, eyeing him with a mix of resentment and frustration. Shin had no clue what was going on, but if he ever found out the truth, he'd probably be banging his head against a wall. After breakfast, Shin took the 4 girls to the training grounds. Besides Conan, the other 3 were clearly not in their best shape. Understandably so. They had all pulled an all-nighter. Are you all okay? Need a break? Shin asked. I'm fine. Kushina said, shaking her head. Staying up all night wasn't a big deal for a shinobi. Though I didn't expect Mikoto and Tsunada to be the same as me. She gave Tsunada and Mikoto a strange look. Mikoto blushed and looked down, embarrassed, but Tsunada didn't react. After all, she was in the same boat as Kushina, she couldn't tease her. Kushina, Mikoto, and Tsunada could train on their own, but Conan needed Shin's supervision for Sage Mode training. It was a dangerous technique, especially now that Conan was in the final stages. Shin couldn't afford any mishaps. Around noon, Mikoto stopped training to prepare lunch. Conan, let's take a break. Sage Mode training can't be rushed. You need precise chakra control. Spiritual, physical, and natural energy had to be balanced in a precise ratio to activate Sage Mode. It wasn't easy. Rushing the process would only lead to mistakes, and mistakes in Sage Mode training could be fatal. Okay. Conan nodded, wiping the sweat from her brow. She was mentally exhausted from focusing all her energy. Let's stop for today. We'll continue tomorrow. Shin said, Seeing Conan's state, "I'll do as you say, Shin." Conan leaned against Shin, blushing slightly. "Conan. You're making us feel like third wheels," Kushina and Tsuda complained. They both moved closer to Shin. Shin, sandwiched between the three women, put on a show of being annoyed, but he was secretly enjoying their closeness, especially the pleasant scent surrounding him. "Oh, I almost forgot." Shin took out the summoning contract scroll he'd obtained from Orochimaru. "Isn't that a summoning contract? Where did you get it?" Tsunoda asked, surprised. "From Orochimaru. I saw him in the Land of Rain, along with Jiraiya. You're interested in summons? I offered you a contract before, and you didn't even look at it." Tsunoda sounded a bit hurt. Did Shin dislike her slugs that much? It wasn't that he disliked them, he simply wasn't fond of slugs. The thought of those slimy creatures made him uncomfortable. Of course, that didn't mean he liked snakes. He wasn't a fan of the snakes of Rechi Cave either. "I'm going to use this to visit Rechi Cave," Shin announced. "Why are you going there?" Kushina asked, curious. "I have my reasons. I want to meet the White Snake Sage." "Kushina, want to come with me to Rechi Cave?" "No way. I hate snakes. Just thinking about them makes me shudder." Kushina refused immediately. She knew Rechi Cave was full of snakes, there was no way she was going. "Are you going now?" "Not yet. Let's eat first. Mikoto's probably finished cooking." After lunch, Shin signed the summoning contract. Summoning jutsu. He performed the hand seals, and a massive purple striped snake appeared before him. Manda, Orochimaru's summon. Manda was notoriously arrogant. Orochimaru had to offer sacrifices to get its cooperation. But Shin simply subdued it with his Ratenseagen. Controlling Manda was child's play for him. "Are you sure you don't want to come to Rechi Cave?" Shin asked Tsunoda, Mikoto, Kushina, and Conan. "No, you go ahead, Shin. Be careful." Tsunoda, Mikoto, and Conan weren't fans of snakes. They had no interest in visiting Rechi Cave. "Alright, I'll be going then." Shin sent Manda back to Rechi Cave, then used the reverse summoning jutsu to teleport there himself. Ugh, the stench. Shin wrinkled his nose. Snake scales had a distinct odor, and Rechi Cave was full of them. Most of the snakes were ordinary, though. Few were at the level of a summoning beast. He glanced at Manda and released his control over it. The snake immediately recoiled in fear. Well. Looks like you do know fear." Shin smirked. "Where's that arrogance you always show to Orochimaru? Who the hell are you? Where did you get a Rechi Cave summoning contract?" Manda asked warily. For all its pride and arrogance, Manda wasn't an idiot. It was also a creature that bullied the weak and feared the strong. "If you don't want me to control you again, then behave and take me to the White Snake Sage. If you refuse, I'll just control you again." Manda was enraged. Orochimaru had never threatened it like this. That was why it was so arrogant when dealing with him. But recalling the feeling of being controlled, it reluctantly agreed, lowering its head and leading the way. Chapter 206, Mission, Eliminate the White Snake Sage. "I really don't like this place." Shin released his chakra, and the snakes surrounding them scattered in fear. Animals were sensitive to danger, especially snakes. They could sense Shin's power and fled. Even Manda cowered, not daring to breathe. Shin was surprised by its timidness. This wasn't the arrogant Manda he knew from the original story. Well, perhaps it was simply a matter of picking its battles. Manda had also been quite submissive when facing Sasuke. Following Manda, Shin finally met the White Snake Sage. Even Manda, usually unruly, was respectful in the White Snake Sage's presence. It also felt a sense of relief. It wasn't a match for Shin, but the White Snake Sage possessed overwhelming power. Killing this human should be easy. "Manda, why did you bring a human here?" A massive white snake coiled around a throne, a pipe clenched in its jaws. This was the White Snake Sage. "White Snake Sage, I didn't bring him here. He threatened me." Manda quickly slithered towards the White Snake Sage, away from Shin. "Human, are you looking for me?" The White Snake Sage's snake-like eyes fixed on Shin. Normally, it wouldn't bother with a human, perhaps even devouring them if it was in a bad mood. But the White Snake Sage could sense a dangerous power from him. It restrained its predatory instincts. "That's right. I'm here to see you." Shin looked at the White Snake Sage. Its massive body contained an immense amount of senjutsu chakra, surpassing even the Nine Tails. The White Snake Sage was ancient, perhaps even older than the Nine Tails. It might have been alive even before Hagoromo Otsutsuki was born. It was at least as old as Gromamaru, the great toad sage of Mount Myabaku. They were both from Hagoromo's era. Having lived for so long, it must have access to valuable information. Shin's goal was to gather intel. "Human, what is your purpose?" The White Snake Sage had a feeling Shin's arrival wasn't a good omen. I want information. I want to know if the Sage of Six Paths is still alive. Shin had always suspected Hagoromo wasn't truly dead, that he might still be alive somewhere, not just as a lingering chakra presence. He hoped the White Snake Sage, having lived so long, might know something. The Sage of Six Paths? The White Snake Sage narrowed its eyes. Why do you ask? Sometimes, knowing too much can be dangerous. It seems you do know something. Tell me. Shin said, staring at it. Human, even if I did, why would I tell you? You're right, you have no reason to. But I could force you to talk. I simply prefer not to resort to violence. The choice is yours. Shin looked at the White Snake Sage calmly. If it refused to cooperate, he would attack. He also wanted to know how strong the sages of the three great sage regions were. Don't get cocky, little human. Do you want to die? The White Snake Sage's eyes turned menacing. Shin's words were a threat, and it was the first time it had ever been threatened by a human. The White Snake Sage wasn't a pushover. Though it was wary of Shin's power, anyone who dared threaten it. First of all, my name is Uzumaki Shin. Second, I don't like being called a little human. And you, a mere beast, have no right to call me that. Die. The White Snake Sage roared and lunged at Shin, jaws wide. Though it lived in the Rechi cave, it understood the insult. The White Snake Sage is angry. You're dead. Manda said gleefully before slithering away. Even Manda was afraid of the White Snake Sage's wrath. It knew Shin would be devoured. You haven't brushed your teeth in ages, have you? Stay away from me. Almighty push. Shin wrinkled his nose at the stench emanating from the White Snake Sage's maw. He wondered when it had last brushed its teeth. He used Almighty Push, blasting the White Snake Sage back. The repulsive force was so powerful that it destroyed the White Snake Sage's dwelling, leaving a massive crater in its wake. Uzumaki Shin. I'll swallow you whole. The White Snake Sage glared at Shin, hatred burning in its eyes. Shin had not only injured it but also destroyed its home. Unforgivable. Snakes were known for their grudges, the White Snake Sage was no exception. If you had just told me what I wanted to know, I would have spared you. But now I have to kill you. Shin activated his Naitomo Irin Tensei again, his gaze pressing down on the White Snake Sage. Ding. Master, you have a new mission. Do you want to check it? Shin paused. This was the first mission since the system upgrade. Yes. Mission, eliminate the White Snake Sage. Reward, Advanced Replication Card X3. Shin looked at the White Snake Sage. It was doomed. He had to complete this mission. 5 advanced replication cards could be combined into a divine replication card. This reward was worth more than half of a divine replication card. And this was the first time he had received a mission that rewarded multiple cards. Little human, what kind of eyes are those? The White Snake Sage asked. It had seen the Sharingan, the Byakugan, and even the Rinnegan. But it had never seen eyes like Shin's. I told you, I don't like being called little human. Do I not have a name? You beast. Shin's eyes flickered, and an immense repulsive force slammed into the White Snake Sage, sending it crashing into the ground. The entire cave shook. And the White Snake Sage's massive body sank into the ground, causing the floor of Rechi Cave to drop nearly 20 meters. Chapter 207, Golden Wheel Reincarnation slays the White Snake Sage. Shin hovered in midair, gazing down at the White Snake Sage, who was practically flattened into a pancake by the repulsive force. As expected of Rechi Cave Sage, your vitality is truly tenacious. Even this didn't kill you. Such severe injuries likely damaged internal organs. However, under Shin's scrutiny, the White Snake Sage's life force hadn't diminished. Suddenly, the sage opened its massive mouth, and from within, a white-scaled snake emerged, leaving only a shed skin behind. Shedding, huh? Shin was familiar with this scene, as Orochimaru had developed a substitution technique using this method to evade attacks. Orochimaru's inspiration likely came from snakes shedding their skin. A clever survival tactic. Shin remarked. The White Snake Sage used this method to remain unscathed, earning Shin's admiration for its ingenuity. Of course, Shin had no intention of studying a similar jutsu, it was visually unappealing. Moreover, Shin didn't need such survival techniques. His Yamatsu Hirasaka and Tenmomai were his most reliable defenses. The White Snake Sage opened its gaping maw, gathering senjutsu chakra rapidly. Even the natural energy of Rechi Cave was drawn in. The natural energy here was abundant, Shin had sensed it upon arrival. Looks like you're preparing something big. I'm curious to see it. Shin watched the sage without concern. Honestly, he didn't believe anyone could threaten him, let alone a mere beast. After gathering chakra for a moment, the White Snake Sage unleashed its technique. A chakra sphere resembling a tailed beast bomb. Aimed directly at Shin. Dujutsu, Takamagahara. The incoming chakra sphere was instantly reflected back, striking the White Snake Sage. The previously compressed ground, as hard as steel, cracked open from the explosion, with countless fissures spreading across the earth. Takamagahara. A dojutsu of Shin's rebirth gen, could nullify and reflect all attacks, making it an invincible technique. It could even negate and counter taijutsu attacks. A truly formidable ability. After all, it was a dojutsu born from the fusion of the Rinnegan and Tenseigan. It had to be extraordinary. How does it feel to be hit by your own technique? Care to share your thoughts? Shin inquired. The white snake sage wasn't killed by the reflected attack, using its shedding technique once more to survive. That's a rather cheap trick. But I bet it consumes a lot of chakra, doesn't it? Shin observed. The power of the reflected attack surpassed that of a tailed beast bomb, yet the sage remained unscathed. Among the opponents Shin had faced, the sage ranked second in resilience, surpassed only by Ryuju Kotsatsuki. The sage glared at Shin, then lashed its tail toward him. The air exploded with the force of the tail's swing, showcasing its immense power. Shin estimated the sage's strength to be at the peak of the Super Kage level. It possessed the might to contend with Madara Uchiha and Senju Hashirama, though in an actual fight, it might not prevail against them. The attack reached Shin in an instant. Compared to the sage's massive tail, Shin appeared small. However, true strength isn't determined by size. The sage's tail halted before Shin, stopped effortlessly by his almighty push. Almighty push creates a repulsive force field centered on the user, serving both offensive and defensive purposes. It can repel enemies and defend against attacks. Unless one can overcome its repulsive force, harming Shin is impossible. White Snake Sage, between you and the Great Toad Sage, who's stronger? After blocking the attack, Shin didn't retaliate but instead curiously asked the sage. The White Snake Sage didn't answer, continuing its assault on Shin. No answer? Fine, I wasn't that eager to know anyway. Shin activated his Tenseigan Chakra mode. Dark Chakra enveloped him. I'm done playing. Let's end this. Shin spoke calmly, eager to test the power of his Tenseigan Chakra mode. Golden Will Reincarnation Explosion. 12 black truth-seeking balls appeared in Shin's hand, forming a towering golden sword. The White Snake Sage stared at Shin, eyes filled with terror. You have 6 paths power? The sage couldn't believe it. Only now did it realize Shin wielded godlike 6 paths power. Had it known earlier, the sage wouldn't have dared to attack Shin. But some things offer no second chances. Under the Golden Wheel Reincarnation explosion, the sage's body was instantly cleaved, along with Richie Cave itself. I wonder if you have any other tricks to survive. Shin watched the bisected body of the White Snake Sage. Against such an attack, shedding was useless, as it had been split in two. Oh, still alive? Too bad I noticed. From the halved corpse, a small white snake attempted to slither away. This was the sage, abandoning its original body to save its life. Shin raised his hand, creating a truth-seeking ball. Having mastered the power of the Kakemora, creating truth-seeking balls was effortless for him. Controlling the truth-seeking ball, he directed it toward the fleeing white snake, erasing it instantly. Truth-seeking balls can obliterate anything lacking 6 paths power. Clearly, the White Snake Sage didn't possess such power, so it perished. Ding. Congratulations, Master. You have completed the mission. Reward, Advanced Replication Card X3, the system's voice confirmed the White Snake Sage's death. Damn, I think I forgot something. Shin suddenly remembered why he had came to Richie Cave. To inquire about the Sage of 6 Paths. But he had forgotten during the fight. And now it was too late. The White Snake Sage was dead. I should have read its memories before killing it. What a waste. Shin shook his head regretfully. He did want to know about the Sage of 6 Paths, but it wasn't essential. He looked at the White Snake Sage's corpse and used a truth-seeking ball to erase the sage's remains. Chapter 208, The Hidden Mist Village Shinobi. After erasing the White Snake Sage's corpse with a truth-seeking ball, Shin surveyed the entirety of Richie Cave. With his Naitomo Irin rebirth gen, Shin could encompass the entire Richie Cave in his sight. Nothing worthwhile here. Finding nothing of value, Shin decided to leave, as he didn't favor the environment of this place. After he left, the surviving snakes in Richie Cave breathed a sigh of relief. The cave had been split in two, and over half the snakes had been killed. But it was still fortunate that half of them survived. Shin used Yamatsu Hirasaka to return home. Previously, he hadn't used Yamatsu Hirasaka to enter Richie Cave because he didn't know its coordinates. Therefore, he summoned Manda to lead him there. Returning, however, was straightforward, as he possessed the coordinates of the outside world. Ah, it's good to be back. Shin exhaled deeply. Despite the abundant natural energy in Richie Cave, he didn't appreciate its gloomy environment. Madara Uchiha, who lived underground, would probably like it there. Entering the house, Shin noticed that Kushina and the others were absent. This indicated to him that they were likely training. He went to the training ground he had built, and indeed, Kushina, Tsunade, Mikoto, and Conan were all there. Shin, you're back? That was quick. Mikoto was the first to notice Shin's return. She paused her fire-style training and approached him. Considering the short duration of his absence, Mikoto's face showed a hint of surprise. I'm back. Unfortunately, I didn't achieve my primary goal, but it's alright, I didn't come back empty-handed. Although he didn't obtain information about the Sage of Six Paths, he did acquire 3 advanced copy cards. A considerable gain. Now that you're back, hurry up and teach us. Kushina said, pulling Shin towards them. You're unusually diligent today. Shin couldn't help but smile. Of course. I have to surpass Mikoto. Kushina glanced at Mikoto. That'll be difficult. Mikoto's current strength was formidable. Even if Kushina and Tsunade teamed up, they might struggle against her. The power of the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan was immense. With its abilities, Mikoto's strength had surpassed that of Kushina and Tsunade. Why do you want to surpass me? Mikoto couldn't help but ask. Kushina placed a finger on her chin, pondering before responding. I guess it's a matter of pride. I used to be able to easily defeat you, but now you've overtaken me. Kushina, you were never able to beat me up easily. Mikoto said, rolling her eyes. Even before, their strength had been similar. I'll guide you in a few days. Right now, I need to help Conan with her Sage Mode training. Shin turned to Kushina. Kushina nodded, understanding that Conan was at a critical stage in her training. Time flew by, and a month passed. Shin remained busy, continuously instructing the 4 women in their training. Conan had now mastered Sage Mode proficiently. Kushina and the others had also improved, but not by much. It was difficult for them to improve further. They had almost reached their limits. At this moment, Shin stood by the seaside. Not far from the shore, a ship was approaching. With his eyesight, he could easily see the people on the ship. They were dressed as shinobi, and from their forehead protectors, he recognized them as shinobi from Hidden Mist Village. They're heading towards the land of whirlpools. Shin's eyes narrowed slightly. Did they really think they could come and go from here as they pleased? Shin, you're here. Let's go back and eat. Kushina appeared beside Shin, using the teleportation jutsu. Eat? Let's deal with these guys first. Shin pointed at the ship, which had reached the shore. A group of Hidden Mist Village shinobi disembarked. What are they doing here? Kushina frowned. It doesn't matter what they're doing here. This is our land. In an instant, Kushina vanished, reappearing before the group of Hidden Mist Village shinobi. Kushina's teleportation jutsu is getting faster. I wonder how it compares to Shizue Uchiha's. Shin said to himself. He had never met Shizue Uchiha, but he didn't think Shizue's teleportation jutsu was better than Kushina's. The reason was simple, Kushina was far stronger than Shizue. Who gave you permission to come here? Kushina demanded. Captain, there's someone here. A fierce-looking Hidden Mist Village shinobi said to the woman standing at the front of their group. The woman was their captain. Kushina looked at the captain. A young woman with green eyes and long, wavy brown hair, younger than even Conan. She was also quite beautiful. And as their captain, she must be strong. She met all the requirements for Kushina's ideal recruit. Hey, what's your name? Kushina asked. Maitru Mummy. And you are? Mai looked at Kushina warily. Though Kushina seemed harmless, the fact that she had appeared before them in an instant meant that she wasn't weak. I'll tell you who I am later. For now, I declare that you're a member of Hidden Sand Village. Kushina declared. Is that Maitru Mummy, the 5th Mizukage? Shin muttered to himself in surprise. She certainly looked like her. Maitru Mummy was confused. Hidden Sand Village? She'd never heard of it. Kushina, shouldn't you ask her if she agrees first? Shin asked, walking over. Does it matter if she agrees? She doesn't have a choice. Kushina said, glancing at Maitru Mummy. She had decided to recruit Maitru Mummy. There was no escape, unless Maitru Mummy was stronger than her. Chapter 209, Maitru Mummy accepts her fate. Captain Mai, should we take care of these two? A Hidden Mist Village shinobi behind Maitru Mummy drew his kunai, looking at Shin and Kushina. Take care of me? You think you're strong enough? Shin looked at the Hidden Mist Village shinobi who had spoken, his eyes flickering. The shinobi immediately collapsed. Inoue. What happened? The other Hidden Mist Village shinobi rushed to Inoue's side, only to find he was dead. They were horrified. They hadn't even seen Shin move, he just looked at Inoue. Could a glance be lethal? They didn't know Shin had used Ganjutsu, a single illusion shattering Inoue's mind. For Shin, such a feat was trivial. Compared to these average shinobi, he was practically a god. Water style, water dragon bullet technique. My, unlike the others, didn't hesitate. She attacked Shin with a water dragon jutsu. Just as Shin was about to retaliate, Kushina used an earth wall to block the attack. Shin, leave her to me. I'll deal with all of them. Kushina still wanted to recruit Mei Trumami. She didn't want Shin to kill her. Fine, she's all yours. Shin shrugged. He hadn't intended to kill Mai anyway. Shin? You're Uzumaki Shin? Mai stared at Shin, her eyes wide with a mix of surprise, admiration, and fear. So you know me. Didn't expect to still be famous after all these years. Shin was surprised. It had been 8 years since he last appeared in the shinobi world. He thought most people would have forgotten about him by now. Uzumaki Shin? The Reaper of the shinobi world? What's he doing here? Some of the Hidden Mist Village shinobi looked despairingly at Shin. They knew his reputation. After all, their third Mizukage had been killed by him. This is the land of whirlpools. Why wouldn't I be here? Shin's tone was flat, but his words sent chills down the Hidden Mist Village shinobi's spines. I haven't even done anything yet, and they've already lost their will to fight. Kushina sounded disappointed. She'd wanted to use these Hidden Mist Village shinobi as practice, but they were too scared to fight. She glared at Shin. Shin was confused. Why was she glaring at him? You Hidden Mist Village shinobi trespassed into the land of whirlpools. I should kill you all. But I'll be merciful. Mei Trumami, you stay. The rest of you can leave. The Hidden Mist Village shinobi looked at each other, then nodded. We agree. Mai's face darkened. They agreed? Shouldn't she, their captain, be the one making the decision? Before she could say anything, they scrambled back onto their ship and fled. Damn it. I didn't agree to this. Mei Trumami said to Shin anxiously. She wasn't the type to sacrifice herself for others. Especially not for these cowards who abandoned her without hesitation. Too late, they're gone. Shin grabbed Mei Trumami and threw her to Kushina. Kushina, she's all yours. Kushina nodded and looked at Mai, her gaze intimidating. Mai was nervous. Her life was in Kushina's hands. She was only 15, still in the bloom of youth. She hadn't even experienced love yet, she didn't want to die. About joining Hidden Sand Village. Have you made your decision? Kushina asked directly. What if I don't join? Then I'll have to kill you. You're of no use to me otherwise. Kushina's words terrified Mai. I agree. I'll join. Mai didn't hesitate any longer. That was easy. I thought I'd have to persuade you a bit more. Kushina was surprised. Do I have a choice? I don't want to die. Mei Trumami said, resigned. She was still young. It would be a shame to die now. Mai regretted coming to the land of whirlpools. She had only intended to use it as a stopover on her way to the Hidden Mist Village's battlefront with Hidden Leaf Village. Now she was stuck here. Good. You'll be proud of your choice one day. Kushina was thrilled. Mei Trumami was the first outsider to join Hidden Sand Village. She finally had her first subordinate. Don't try anything funny. You know the consequences. Shin looked at Mai. Mai nodded immediately. Even if she had any ideas, she wouldn't dare try anything in front of Shin. Let's go home. Shin teleported back home with Kushina and the newly recruited Mai. Mikoto was just about to go look for them. You're finally back. I was just about to go find you. Did you forget about dinner? And who is this? Mikoto looked at Mai, her gentle expression turning sharp. Mai cowered under Mikoto's gaze, which was surprisingly intimidating. Mikoto, this is my new recruit. She's joining Hidden Sand Village. What do you think? Kushina asked excitedly. Oh, is that so? I thought someone was being a playboy again. Mikoto's sharp gaze softened, and her intimidating aura vanished. Shin. Playboy. So that was how Mikoto saw him? Shin stroked his chin, thinking about how to punish Mikoto. Mikoto suddenly shivered and looked at Shin. Seeing his gaze, she had a bad feeling. Let's eat before the food gets cold. She said quickly, changing the subject. She knew Shin's gaze meant trouble. Don't think you can escape. Shin looked at Mikoto's retreating figure. He'd deal with her later. Chapter 210, That's Not How You Treat a Girl. At the dinner table, Mikoto, Tsunade, and Conan stared at Mai, who felt incredibly nervous under their scrutiny. She didn't know Mikoto and Conan, but she knew Tsunade. Her reputation as one of the Sannin was widespread. She's a Hidden Mist Village shinobi. Do you really trust her, Kushina? Tsunade asked. Honestly? No. But trust can be earned. I believe Mai will prove herself trustworthy. I still don't think this is a good idea. Another girl. It's not going to end well. Tsunade looked at Shin and shook her head. Mei Trumami was beautiful, so Tsunade was naturally wary. Shin, don't you have anything to say? Tsunade asked Shin. What should I say? This was Kushina's decision. As long as she's fine with it, I don't have any objections. I see. You must be happy about this, Tsunade said, glancing at Shin. Shin understood what she meant and didn't reply. I'm full. You guys enjoy. I'm going to train. Shin finished eating, wiped his mouth, and left. Although he was already incredibly strong, he still didn't neglect his training. The 6th path's level was powerful, but Shin wasn't satisfied. He wanted to become even stronger. I'm full too. Enjoy your meal, no need to rush. Kushina stood up and followed Shin. Tsunade, Mikoto, and Conan looked at the empty dishes on the table. Kushina and Shin had devoured everything. What were they supposed to eat? I guess I didn't make enough. Time to cook some more. Mikoto glared at Kushina. She ate so much, yet she never gained weight. Mikoto was a bit jealous. Their life was peaceful, but the shinobi world was in turmoil. Hidden Cloud's village had finally joined the war, attacking Hidden Leaf Village. This was bad news for Hidden Leaf Village. Hidden Leaf Village was now facing 4 great villages at once. Even the strongest village couldn't withstand this. Hiruzen Sarutobi also left the village to join the battle. This was a desperate measure. No one would want their Kage to fight unless it was absolutely necessary. This war was even more brutal than the Second Shinobi World War. The Second War had been mostly suppressed by Shin. Although there were heavy casualties, it wasn't as chaotic as this. Every village had deployed their Geinin, even Hidden Leaf Village. Scraping the bottom of the barrel. The Uchiha clan is really pitiful. Shin watched the Uchiha fight on the Hidden Mist Village front, shaking his head. They were being used as cannon fodder, yet they didn't rebel against Hidden Leaf Village. Everyone knew the Uchiha specialized in fire style and Sharingan, yet they were sent to fight the Hidden Mist Village shinobi, whose water style countered fire style. This severely hampered their combat effectiveness. If they had been deployed elsewhere, their contributions would have been far greater. This was clearly a deliberate act of sabotage by Hiruzen and Denzo. Even after being treated so unfairly, they still didn't have the guts to rebel. No wonder Madara Uchiha was disappointed in them. Shin-sama, are you going to intervene? Maitru Mummy asked Shin cautiously. Intervene? Why would I? Shin looked at her in surprise. I thought Shin-sama might help Hidden Leaf Village. After all, you were once a Hidden Leaf Village shinobi. I hoped Shin wouldn't intervene. If he helped Hidden Leaf Village, Hidden Mist Village would be doomed. Although she had been betrayed by her own people, she still had feelings for Hidden Mist Village. Even if Shin didn't help Hidden Leaf Village, his involvement would still spell trouble for Hidden Mist Village. By the way, Shin-sama, why did you bring me here? Mai wondered why Shin had brought her along. It wasn't just for fun, was it? Did he have other motives? Maitru Mummy blushed. Shin was the most handsome man she had ever seen. She admired him, and despite the circumstances, she was also a bit flattered by his attention. Many in Hidden Mist Village hated Shin, but many also admired him. People admired strength, especially shinobi. They admired those with great power. Shin was at the pinnacle of power in this era. Many in the hidden villages admired him. They hated him, feared him, but they also admired him. What are you thinking about? Shin flicked Mai's forehead, snapping her out of her thoughts. And nothing. I wasn't thinking about anything. Mai shook her head quickly. Shin looked at the suspicious blush on her face. He didn't believe her. I brought you here because Kushina thinks you're a bit weak. She asked me to train you. And I wanted to test your strength. How are you going to test me, Shin-sama? Maitru Mummy asked. You still don't understand? Survive on the battlefield. Shin appeared behind Maitru Mummy and pushed her. Mai hadn't even realized how she got there. Shin had used Yamatsu Hirasaka to teleport her. That's not how you treat a girl. Mai dodged a stray kunai, annoyed. She wasn't wearing a forehead protector, so she was a target for everyone, including the Hidden Mist Village shinobi. Unless there was someone who recognized her, she would be attacked by both Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Mist Village shinobi. Chapter 211, Shin's true objective. Shin gazed at Maitru Mummy on the battlefield. He had brought her here to test her strength, but that wasn't his only goal. He also wanted to sever her ties with Hidden Mist Village. Since Kushina had recruited her into Hidden Sand Village, he couldn't allow her to remain loyal to Hidden Mist Village. That was why he brought her to the battlefield. After this battle, you'll be a Hidden Mist Village missing ninja, Maitru Mummy. Shin muttered to himself. He didn't care about Mai's future or the fate of Hidden Mist Village. His eyes, which were usually black and white, turned into the Nitomui Ren Tenseigan. Several Hidden Mist Village shinobi faltered, then their minds were controlled. The Tenseigan could control people's minds and actions. And Shin's Ren Tenseigan was even stronger. He could even control Kage-level shinobi with ease. The controlled Hidden Mist Village shinobi attacked Maitru Mummy without mercy. Maitru Mami's face was filled with conflict as she watched them approach. She gripped her kunai tightly, but she didn't attack. She couldn't bring herself to attack her fellow Hidden Mist Village shinobi. But her hesitation only resulted in fiercer attacks. 5 Hidden Mist Village shinobi used water-style jutsu. Powerful techniques like the Great Waterfall technique and the Water Dragon Bullet technique were unleashed upon her. Any one of these could kill her. Shinobi were physically fragile. Even Kage-level shinobi could be killed if they were hit by a powerful jutsu without defending, let alone an elite jonin like Maitru Mami. Of course, not all shinobi were physically weak. Taijutsu specialists were very durable. But Maitru Mami wasn't one. Stop attacking me. Or I won't hold back. Mai used the teleportation jutsu to escape the barrage of attacks. She was furious. They had almost killed her. Kill that Hidden Mist Village traitor. One of the Hidden Mist Village shinobi yelled, ignoring her warning and continuing his assault. Damn it. Maitru Mami couldn't refute that. Having agreed to join Hidden Sand Village, she was technically a traitor to Hidden Mist Village. If you want to kill me, don't blame me for fighting back. The only response she received were kunai and shuriken, some with explosive tags attached. Lava style. Melting apparition technique. At this point in her life, she only had lava style KK Genkai and had not yet awakened boil style. Although her lava style was theoretically powerful enough to melt Susanoo, Shin doubted Maitru Mami could currently achieve such a feat. She wasn't at her peak yet. Still, being an elite jonin at her age was impressive. Her lava style melted the Hidden Mist Village shinobi, killing them instantly. Maitru Mami's eyes were filled with complex emotions. She didn't want to kill her fellow Hidden Mist Village shinobi, but she wouldn't just stand there and die. I've already made my choice. She pushed down her conflicting emotions and threw a kunai, killing the shinobi who tried to sneak attack her. Maitru Mami no longer cared if they were Hidden Lee Village or Hidden Mist Village shinobi. They were all her enemies now. After half an hour, Shin decided it was enough. He could sense Maitru Mami's chakra was almost depleted. Yamatsu Hirasaka. Shin opened a portal and pulled Maitru Mami back. Maitru Mami was about to attack, but she relaxed when she saw Shin. Not bad. You're quite talented. Maitru Mami raised her chin proudly, accepting his praise. She was indeed a genius. Don't get cocky. You might be a genius, but you're still far from the top. Shin's words deflated her pride. She had to admit he was right. She had been in the land of whirlpools for a while now, and she knew she was no match for Kushina, Tsunade, Mikoto, or even Konan, who was around the same age as her. This had humbled her. She wasn't as strong as she'd thought. Let's go home. Shin glanced at the ongoing battle between Hidden Lee Village and Hidden Mist Village, but he didn't intervene. With his current strength, he could wipe them all out with a single almighty push. That was why he wasn't interested in participating. He returned to the land of whirlpools with Maitru Mami. So, how was Mai's test? Kushina asked as soon as they arrived. Elite Jonin level. But with her lava-style KK Genkai, she can fight a quasi-Kage. Mai, you have a KK Genkai? I didn't know. Kushina looked at Mai. Maitru Mami was embarrassed. She had deliberately hidden it. As a shinobi, it was natural to hide your trump cards. I'm so jealous. I want a KK Genkai, too. Tsunade said. Shin rolled his eyes. Didn't she consider her sage body a KK Genkai? Tsunade, if you're interested, I can teach you wood style. But whether you can awaken it or not depends on you. Of course I'm interested. It's wood style. I won't pass up the opportunity. Wood style was very appealing to Tsunade. It had been her childhood dream to awaken it and gain the power of her grandfather, Hashirama Senju. Chapter 212, You Still Have Great Potential Shin, I received a mission. Kushina suddenly ran over with Maitru Mami while Shin was guiding Tsunade's wood-style training. A mission? What kind of mission? Shin asked, puzzled. To assassinate the third Raikage. I took it from the black market. The client seems to be Hidden Stones Village. Kushina handed Shin a mission scroll. Shin wasn't surprised that Kushina was taking missions from the black market. She had told him she wanted to earn money. Although they weren't short on money, Kushina had suddenly decided she wanted to earn some. And since she wasn't going to get a job, the black market was her only option. How much is the reward? Tsunade asked curiously. Quite a lot. 500 million ryo. Take a look. Shin handed the mission details to Tsunade. That's a lot. With that much money, I'll never have to worry about money again. Tsunade's eyes turned into ryo signs. Shin was speechless. She was already rich. I also saw a bounty on Mai, issued by Hidden Mist Village. Kushina said, glancing at Mai. Mai was listed as a missing ninja with a 50 million ryo bounty. That was surprisingly high. Maitru Mami was startled and took a step back, looking at Kushina warily. You're not planning to collect my bounty, are you? Not yet. Maybe later, if we need the money. Besides, your value might increase. I'm quite optimistic about your potential, Mai. You have a lot of room to grow. Kushina patted Mai's shoulder. Mai twitched. If she could defeat Kushina, she'd do it right now. Mai, you're only worth 50 million. Any thoughts on that? Shin teased. It's not fair. Mai complained. Setting the scroll aside, Shin turned back to Kushina. So, have you officially accepted this bounty on the third Raikage? Of course. It's a lot of money. Kushina said, her eyes gleaming. The third Raikage is no pushover. Otherwise, he wouldn't be worth quite this much. Don't forget you'll have to deal with the rest of Hidden Cloud's village's forces before you even get to him, Shin reminded her. If Kushina recklessly attacked the third Raikage, she might fail. It wasn't that he thought she couldn't defeat the Raikage, but the Raikage wasn't alone. I know, but I have a plan. Mikoto agreed to help me. Kushina had asked Mikoto for help, and Mikoto hadn't refused. If Mikoto's going, then it should be fine. With Mikoto and Kushina working together, they could handle almost anything, as long as they didn't encounter someone like Madara Uchiha or Hashirama Senju. Just to be safe, I'll come with you. Shin said after some thought. He decided to go with them. He was bored staying in the land of whirlpools. There was no one else there besides them. It was peaceful, but also boring. Great. Kushina agreed immediately. She had wanted Shin to come along. Tsunade, what about you? I'd like to go, but I'm focused on wood style right now. So I'll pass. Tsunade was completely absorbed in mastering wood style. She didn't have time to go on a mission. Only Shin, Kushina, and Mikoto would be leaving. Tsunade, Konan, and Mai would stay behind. Konan and Mai had also wanted to go, but Tsunade had insisted Konan stay to cook. She didn't trust her own cooking, so she needed Konan. As for Mai, Shin had told her to stay. She was too weak to be of any help. Mikoto, you know you don't have to come if you don't want to. Kushina said. Since Shin was going, Mikoto could stay. Actually, I'm mostly here to supervise someone. Mikoto said, glancing at Shin. Shin looked at Mikoto, puzzled. Who was she supervising? Her gaze made it clear she was referring to him. But what did she need to supervise him for? Last time you went out with Konan, you ended up doing something you shouldn't have. Mikoto said pointedly. This time I'm going with Kushina. What's the problem? Oh, so you don't want me to come? Mikoto's gaze turned even more pointed, and Shin was speechless. No, it's great that you're coming with us. I see. But Kushina looks disappointed. Probably because with me here, you two won't get alone time. Mikoto said, looking at Kushina, whose face had indeed fallen. Yeah, I am. If Mikoto didn't come, it would just be Shin and me. Kushina regretted asking Mikoto to come. If she hadn't, she and Shin could have been alone. Too bad, I'm not going to let that happen. I knew it. Kushina pouted. This was her mistake, but even if she hadn't asked, Mikoto would have come along anyway. Anyway, Hidden Cloud's village is at war with Hidden Lee village right now, so the third Raikage is bound to be on the battlefield. That's where we're headed. Shin changed the subject. How did you know, Shin? Kushina asked curiously. I don't often leave the land of whirlpools, but I still keep up with events in the shinobi world. Chapter 213, Denzo, are you here to extort me? After leaving the land of whirlpools, Shin and his team slowly made their way towards the battlefield between Hidden Cloud's village and Hidden Leaf village. Can you guys hurry up? You're so slow. Kushina, who was walking ahead, turned around and glared at Shin and Mikoto, who were chatting and laughing. Kushina, why are you in such a hurry? Are you afraid someone will steal the third Raikage's head? Shin asked. Although the third Raikage did die in the Third Shinobi World War in the original story, things were different now. The third Raikage wouldn't go to the land of Earth to die. He was currently leading the Hidden Clouds village forces against Hidden Leaf village. That's true, the sooner we finish this, the better. Kushina replied. Actually, we should think about how to earn more money. Shin said, looking at Kushina. Earn more money? How? Kushina's eyes lit up. She was always interested in making money. Hidden Clouds village is fighting Hidden Leaf village now. That means the third Raikage is Hidden Leaf village's enemy. So? It's simple. We kill the third Raikage and get Hidden Leaf village to pay us. We'll earn money from both sides. What do you think? Shin asked. Although Shin wasn't short on money, he certainly wouldn't mind earning more. No one would say no to extra cash. Brilliant. Why didn't I think of that? Kushina clapped her hands excitedly, deciding to go with his plan. You didn't think of it because you're not very smart. Mikoto's words hit Kushina like a dagger. Kushina staggered back, clutching her chest dramatically. Mikoto. I've decided. I'm ending our friendship. Kushina said angrily, then turned away with a huff. Of course, if you sincerely apologize to me, maybe I'll graciously forgive you. After a while, Kushina changed her mind. Oh please, Kushina, by all means. Go ahead and end our friendship. Mikoto said with a smile. That's so mean. Kushina pouted. Shin and his team didn't waste any more time. Shin used Yamatsu Hirasaka to take them to the battlefield between Hidden Clouds Village and Hidden Leaf Village. The battlefield was located at the border between the Land of Fire and the Land of Rice Fields. Hidden Leaf Village shinobi were defending stubbornly, preventing Hidden Clouds Village from breaking through. It seems Denzo is the one commanding the Hidden Leaf Village forces. Shin said, based on the information he had gathered. He hadn't been paying much attention to the war. Really? So we have to deal with Denzo. Kushina frowned. She didn't like Denzo. They confirmed Denzo was indeed the commander. Let's go find him. Shin's eyes flickered, and a black portal appeared. He stepped through it, followed by Kushina and Mikoto. Who's there? Denzo, who was sitting in a chair deep in thought, jumped up, his one good eye gleaming with vigilance. Denzo, long time no see. Have you forgotten me already? Shin asked calmly. You Uzumaki Shin. What are you doing here? Denzo's fists clenched when he saw Shin. He was nervous. Relax, I'm not here to kill you. I'd hate to taint my hands. Though your new look is interesting. Shin looked at Denzo, whose right eye was bandaged. He hadn't transplanted a Sharingan yet. He had just lost his right eye. The bandage was still stained with blood. Shin's teasing angered Denzo. No one dared to talk to him like that anymore. But he didn't dare show his anger. He asked with a dark expression. What are you doing here? I'm here to offer you a deal. Shin created 3 wooden chairs with wood style and had Mikoto and Kushina sit down. Wood style was convenient. He could create chairs wherever he went. Not just chairs, but houses too. Denzo's eyes widened. Was that wood style? He quickly dismissed the thought. He didn't want to believe Shin could use wood style. What kind of deal? He wanted to know Shin's intentions. He had a feeling it wasn't good. He didn't think Shin's visit was a good omen. You must be having a hard time with the third Raikage, right? Shin asked, his gaze fixed on Denzo like a predator eyeing its prey. Denzo didn't deny it and nodded, his face dark. The Raikage was the one who had injured him and almost killed him. We can eliminate the third Raikage for you. How much are you willing to pay? Denzo's eyes gleamed. If they could really kill the third Raikage, he would pay any price. 100 million ryo. Denzo said tentatively. He thought it was a generous offer. Of course, it wasn't his final offer. Shin's smile vanished, and he looked at Denzo with a flat expression. Is that all the third Raikage is worth to you? At least 10 times that. Shin said calmly. What? 1 billion ryo. Why don't you just rob me? Even Denzo couldn't sit still anymore. Although he had said he would pay any price, 1 billion ryo was too much. Is it too much? Then forget it. Shin said, standing up. But since you've wasted my time, I should at least collect a service fee of 100 million ryo. Denzo's face turned red. Was Shin here to extort him? 100 million ryo for doing nothing? And he hadn't even asked Shin to come. This was robbery. Denzo had never encountered anyone so shameless. Shin, I think we should just kill him. We can get some money for his head. Kushina said. She remembered seeing a bounty on Denzo's head on the black market. But it wasn't as high as the third Raikage's. Denzo's face grew even paler. They were going to kill him for money. Judging by Kushina's cold and murderous eyes, it didn't seem like she was joking at all. Chapter 214, The Strongest Shinobi in the World. Fine. 1 billion ryo. I'll pay it. Just make sure you kill the third Raikage. Denzo took a deep breath and said. Although he felt the price was high, he was willing to pay it to save his own life. But he wasn't sure if Shin would actually kill the third Raikage after receiving the money. It wasn't that he thought Shin couldn't do it, but he was worried Shin would take the money and run. If that happened, there was nothing Denzo could do. Kushina smiled slightly, the murderous intent on her face instantly fading. Shin had been right. Denzo was a coward. Pay the deposit first. Shin said calmly. Denzo glanced at Shin, but didn't object. He knew he had no choice. He reluctantly paid 100 million ryo as a deposit. He couldn't afford to pay more now. Don't forget the remaining 900 million ryo. Otherwise, Hidden Leaf Village can prepare to be rebuilt. I'm sure the cost of rebuilding Hidden Leaf Village will be much higher than this. I'm sure you understand what I mean. Shin glanced at Denzo, then left with Kushina and Mikoto. If it weren't for the money, he wouldn't even bother with Denzo. After Shin left, Denzo also relaxed. He had been worried about his safety with Shin around. He didn't even dare mention the death of his subordinate, Uzumaki Kai. Are we going after the third Raikage now? Do we need a plan? Mikoto asked Shin. Mikoto, do you think we need a plan? Kushina asked before Shin could answer. With their strength, they didn't need a plan. They could just barge in and kill the third Raikage. Kushina, have you forgotten something? I thought you were still angry at me and weren't talking to me. Mikoto said with a playful smile. Kushina's face fell. She had forgotten. She turned away with a huff. Stop teasing her, Mikoto. She's about to explode. Shin said, patting Mikoto's head. But she's right. We don't need a plan to deal with the third Raikage. They could just go and kill him. I'm not saying it's impossible, it just feels a bit arrogant, don't you think? Mikoto expressed her hesitation. Directly barging into their camp to kill their leader was truly brazen. Arrogant? I don't think so. Shin shrugged. With their strength, devising a plan to deal with the third Raikage would be laughable. Kushina's already gone. Let's go after her. Shin said, taking Mikoto's hand and chasing after Kushina. Kushina was pouting. She was probably still angry. Shin thought she looked cute. I'll teleport us directly into the Hidden Clouds village camp. Shin held Mikoto and Kushina's hands and used Yamatsu Hirasaka to teleport them to the nearby Hidden Clouds village camp. Shin. You're not allowed to interfere this time. Kushina said. Then why did you bring me here? Shin asked curiously. I didn't bring you here. You came on your own. I did, but you wanted me to come, didn't you? Shin looked at Kushina. And no. I didn't. Kushina said, turning away with a huff. Who are you? A dark-skinned Hidden Clouds village shinobi drew his sword and looked at Shin, Kushina, and Mikoto warily. Mikoto activated her Sharingan and used Ganjutsu to control the shinobi. We can ask him where the third Raikage is. That'll save us the trouble of searching. Mikoto said with a smile. I could find him with Kagura's mind's eye. Shin said. He had fought the third Raikage before and knew his chakra signature. He could easily find him with the mind's eye of Kagura. But it didn't matter which method they used, as long as they found the third Raikage. They learned the third Raikage's location from the Hidden Clouds village shinobi. He was nearby. Let's just say hello then. Kushina condensed an enormous big ball Rasengan in her palm and immediately hurled it toward the command tent where the third Raikage was located. This was no ordinary Rasengan. It was the much more destructive big ball Rasengan, with power far exceeding the original. Boom. The loud explosion immediately drew the attention of every Hidden Clouds village shinobi nearby. Moments later, the furious third Raikage burst forth from the ruined command tent. Right behind him stood his son, A, and A's adopted brother and partner. The current A-Tails Jinchuriki, Killer B. A was the future fourth Raikage. Yo. Who's the idiot fool wrecking our base? I'll twist his head and smash his face. Killer B shouted in his usual ridiculous rap-style manner. A clenched his fists. His brother had a screw loose, he worried that Killer B would someday get himself killed. It's been a while since anyone dared to speak to me like that. You have guts. Tell me. How do you want to die? Shin calmly stared at Killer B with a smile. A glared at Shin, killing intent flashing in his eyes. A, take B and leave immediately. The third Raikage ordered sternly. What? A looked at his father in confusion. That's Uzumaki Shin. The third Raikage said grimly. He hadn't expected to encounter Shin in this war, yet here he was again. A's eyes widened. Uzumaki Shin. The strongest shinobi in the world? A wasn't convinced, having never experienced Shin's power firsthand during the Second Shinobi World War. A couldn't accept his father's fear. In terms of age, Uzumaki Shin was even younger than him. Considering he himself was an unparalleled genius, A refused to acknowledge that Shin could possibly be stronger. Deep down, A firmly believed Uzumaki Shin's reputation was greatly exaggerated, and the title of strongest was merely blown out of proportion. Now that they had met face to face, A felt eager to personally challenge Uzumaki Shin and see if the so-called strongest really lived up to his legendary reputation. Chapter 215, I'm Not a Devil. A's eyes were filled with fighting spirit as he stared at Shin. Lightning crackled around his body, forming a sort of armor. This was the lightning-style chakra mode. Only 2 people in Hidden Clouds village could use it, the third Raikage and A. This technique was basically a requirement for becoming a Raikage. As the third Raikage's son, A had been training in it since childhood. Shin noticed A's battle-ready stance. A was much younger than his future self, but Shin still recognized him. A, stand down. The third Raikage's expression changed. I order you to retreat with the other shinobi. The third Raikage's gaze was resolute, his decision made. He would sacrifice himself to hold off Uzumaki Shin. "Father, please let me fight," pleaded with his father. "As the third Raikage, I command you to withdraw with the others. Now." The third Raikage's tone brooked no argument. He knew what his son was thinking. And he also knew A was no match for Uzumaki Shin. Even he was no match for Shin. A, with his far inferior strength, would be annihilated in seconds. "This is an order. Do you intend to disobey and become a missing ninja?" The third Raikage glared at A. "Hey, can you guys tone down the melodrama?" Shin interjected, rolling his eyes at the dramatic exchange. "Uzumaki Shin, I thought you left Hidden Leaf Village. Why are you here? Was your departure a lie?" The third Raikage looked at Shin cautiously. He didn't think Shin's presence here was a good omen. "Leaving Hidden Leaf Village doesn't mean I can't attack you," Shin said calmly. "Your target seems to be me. If so, please, leave the others out of this," the third Raikage said, looking at the surrounding Hidden Clouds Village shinobi. "Of course. I'm not some kind of monster. I only kill those who deserve it. As for the rest, well, if they want to die, who am I to stop them?" Shin said with a smile. "Enough talk. Let's fight," Kushina said, then attacked the third Raikage with a Rasengan. The third Raikage swiftly activated his lightning-style chakra mode, forming a lightning armor that deflected the Rasengan effortlessly. He could even withstand the Rasen Shuriken, let alone the Rasengan. "A, you and B take the others and retreat. No matter what happens, even if I die, don't try to avenge me," the third Raikage yelled. "And if I die, you will be the next Raikage. I expect you to lead Hidden Clouds Village wisely, understand? And Dodai, you are to assist him." Dodai looked at the third Raikage and nodded, then pulled A back with a heavy heart. "Let's go, A. Don't disappoint the Raikage-sama." "I understand." A clenched his fists. He knew this wasn't a simple matter. His father was ordering them to retreat even though they had the numerical advantage. There were 4,000 Hidden Clouds Village shinobi here. This meant Shin was incredibly powerful. He had wanted to fight Shin, but now he realized that was a foolish thought. "Dodai, is Uzumaki Shin really that strong?" asked Dodai. Killer B also looked at Dodai. "Strong? He is incredibly strong, strong enough that seeing him again makes me tremble in fear," Dodai said, looking at A with a complicated expression. He would never forget that colossal Susanoo during the Second Shinobi World War, capable of cleaving mountains with a single stroke. They were like ants compared to that power. Tutai exhaled. "So hurry up and leave. Don't let the third Raikage-sama's sacrifice be in vain." "Damn it. My father will be fine. He has to be." A looked at his father, then gritted his teeth and led the Hidden Clouds Village shinobi away. "I thought we'd have to fight the other Hidden Clouds Village shinobi too, but it seems they're all gone now. Only the third Raikage remains," Mikoto said, looking at the retreating Hidden Clouds Village shinobi. "They were scared away by me," Shin said with a chuckle. He wasn't joking. The Hidden Clouds Village shinobi had indeed been scared away by him. "Kushina, can you handle the third Raikage alone?" Mikoto looked at Kushina, who was fighting the third Raikage. The third Raikage's defense was so strong that Kushina's attacks weren't effective. Although the third Raikage knew he probably wouldn't survive, he wasn't going to just stand there and die. If there was a chance to live, he would take it. Don't underestimate Kushina. She should be able to defeat the third Raikage alone, Shin said, though he suspected Kushina would have to use Sage Mode to win. The third Raikage was one of the strongest Kage, his power bordering on Super Kage level. "She's struggling. I'll help her. After all, she did ask for my help," Mikoto said. She activated her Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. "Kushina might not like it, but it'll be faster if you two work together," Shin said. It wouldn't be easy for Kushina to defeat the third Raikage alone. But with Mikoto's help, it would be a piece of cake. Susanoo. A massive pink complete-body Susanoo, over 100 meters tall, appeared. Its color might make it seem less intimidating, but no one dared to underestimate it. The Susanoo's destructive power was undeniable. It could easily cut a mountain in half. "Kushina!" Mikoto called out. Kushina understood and used a jutsu to force the third Raikage back, then retreated. Mikoto then controlled the Susanoo and slashed at the third Raikage. The ground split open before the sword even reached it. Chapter 216, The Third Raikage's Death. The third Raikage watched the earth split before him, cold sweat dripping down his forehead. If he hadn't dodged at the last moment, he'd be in two pieces. Another Mangekyo Sharingan user. Mikoto Uchiha, huh? Lightning crackled around him as he looked at the Susanoo. Even though he knew this Susanoo wasn't Shin's, He still felt a sense of despair. The third Raikage is quite fast. Shin watched the Raikage. His speed was incredible, even Kushina and Mikoto would struggle to hit him. Sage Mode. While the Raikage was focused on Mikoto's Susanoo, Kushina activated Sage Mode. She couldn't activate it instantly, but Mikoto had bought her time. Senjutsu Chakra flared around her, cracking the ground beneath her feet. Strength of 100 seal. Kushina's taijutsu was already strong, now, amplified by Sage Mode and the strength of 100 seal. Her punch could shatter a mountain. She appeared before the third Raikage in a flash. Die. Her fist connected with the Raikage's face, his body flying backwards like a rag doll, his chest caved in. That should kill him, right? Kushina said to herself. No, you underestimate him, Kushina. He's known as the strongest shield and spear. Shin said, appearing beside her. Strongest shield? Don't make me laugh. Kushina had heard how Shin had almost killed the third Raikage in their previous encounter. He'd almost been beaten to death, how could he be the strongest shield? He's still very strong. Even Madara Uchiha wouldn't be able to defeat him easily. Madara Uchiha? I don't think he's even a match for me now. Mikoto deactivated her Susanoo and joined them. Mikoto, even though you've awakened the eternal Mangekyo, Madara has a lot more tricks up his sleeve. Don't underestimate him just because he's old. Madara might be on his last breath, kept alive by the demonic statue of the outer path. He was still a force to be reckoned with. Underestimating him would be a mistake. Cough, cough. The third Raikage spat out blood and struggled to his feet. Hell stab. One finger nukite. He unleashed his strongest attack, the one finger nukite. It was probably the strongest piercing attack. Kushina, don't block that head on. You'll get hurt. Shin warned. I know, I'm not stupid. Kushina had wanted to block it, but Shin's warning stopped her. Sage Art. Super Big Ball Rasen Shuriken. A massive Rasen Shuriken, capable of obliterating a small mountain, flew towards the Raikage. The reanimated third Raikage in the original story could block a Rasen Shuriken without injury, but this was a Sage Art, Super Big Ball Rasen Shuriken. If the Wind Style, Rasen Shuriken was an S-rank jutsu, then the Sage Art, Super Big Ball Rasen Shuriken was an SS-rank jutsu. Boom. The Raikage was blasted away before he could even get close to Kushina. Fire Style, Majestic Flame Annihilation. Mikoto used a large-scale fire-style jutsu, creating a sea of flames that engulfed the third Raikage. That should kill him. Mikoto said. She was making sure the third Raikage was dead. That's some impressive fire style, Mikoto. Shin was amazed by the scale of her attack. It was a magnificent sight, comparable to Madara Uchiha's fire style. Too bad he's not dead yet. I didn't expect him to be so resilient. Shin could still sense the Raikage's life force. No way. He's still alive after that? Kushina couldn't believe it. She'd thought her Super Big Ball Rasen Shuriken and Mikoto's Great Fire Annihilation would kill him for sure. The flames dissipated, revealing the Raikage emerging from underground. He'd buried himself to survive the fire, though he was severely injured and burned. You're tough, third Raikage. Cough, cough. I'm not that easy to kill. Fine, I'll end this quickly. Shin appeared before the third Raikage in an instant. The third Raikage didn't even see him move. This time, it wasn't space-time ninjutsu, but pure speed. Shin created a black chakra receiver rod and pierced the Raikage's heart. No matter how strong he was, a pierced heart meant death. The Raikage's eyes dimmed, and his body collapsed. He is finally dead. Didn't expect you to intervene. Kushina said, walking over. I just wanted to finish this quickly. He's dead now. Shin looked at the Raikage's corpse. It was still valuable. It would make excellent material for the 6 Paths of Pain. Of course, Shin had no use for the 6 Paths of Pain, but it would be good for summoning, impure world reincarnation. He had already learned this kinjutsu. To use summoning, impure world reincarnation, he needed a certain amount of the deceased's DNA. Chapter 217, The Hyuga Clan's Gentle Fist. Shin stowed away the third Raikage's body and turned to Kushina and Mikoto with a casual shrug. Let's go, he said. Time to collect our payment from Denzo. They returned to the Hidden Lee village camp and headed straight for Denzo. The old warhawk looked bewildered to see them back so soon. Denzo, Shin said flatly. Got my commission ready? Already. You mean the third Raikage is dead? Denzo asked, still somewhat skeptical. He knew better than most just how formidable the third Raikage was, especially with rumors of him battling entire armies single-handedly. Even if it was Uzumaki Shin, dealing with that man shouldn't have been easy. But Shin merely dumped the third Raikage's corpse at Denzo's feet. Even though Denzo's face remained unreadable, his mind was in turmoil. However, another problem arose. How to pay? Denzo inwardly cursed. He had known it was a huge sum, but Hidden Leaf Village's finances had been stretched thin by the Third Shinobi World War, and Denzo was loath to part with the private funds he'd set aside for Root. Will you allow me some time to gather the money? Denzo asked finally. Of course. Shin replied lightly. As long as I get to hold on to your head as collateral. Denzo's expression darkened. That was essentially demanding his life. But he truly didn't have the cash on hand, and raising such an astronomical sum wasn't easy. How about this? Denzo suggested, forcing calm into his voice. I have copies of certain secret techniques from each of Hidden Leaf Village's major clans. Let me offer them first. Just to buy us a bit more time. Denzo knew he had to stall. His priority was survival, and handing over some clan techniques was a small price to pay. Secret techniques? Shin raised an eyebrow. He immediately thought of the Yamanaka, Akimaki, and Nara clans. Their jutsu were quite unique, and while they weren't particularly useful to him, they might still hold some value. Fine. Shin said at last. But I still expect the rest of the money, in full, delivered to the land of whirlpools. If you fail to deliver, well, I wouldn't mind paying Hidden Leaf Village a little visit. There was no mistaking Shin's tone. If the money didn't come, he was fully prepared to raze Hidden Leaf Village to the ground. He'd have liked nothing more than to see Shin dead. But for now, he could only compromise. Soon, Shin and his two companions left Denzo's presence, having gained a thick scroll of stolen clan techniques. Truly Denzo. Shin remarked as they walked away, flipping through the scroll. He's managed to get his hands on secret techniques from nearly every major clan. For others, these might be prized treasures, but to Shin, they were more like interesting footnotes. Still, flipping through them might spark an idea or two. Huh? This one's from the Hyuga clan. Gentle Fist? Shin murmured, scanning a few pages. The Hyuga were notoriously secretive about their techniques. The fact that Denzo had managed to obtain a copy was impressive in itself. Gentle Fist only works well with a Byakugan, right? Mikoto noted, reading over his shoulder. Otherwise, it's just fancy taijutsu. The Gentle Fist required the Byakugan to be effective. Without it, it was just an ordinary taijutsu style. Who said it's useless? Shin smirked. This might actually come in handy for me. Unlike others, Shin possessed the Rin Tenseigan, a combination of the Rinnegan and the Tenseigan's abilities, which encompassed all the capabilities of the Byakugan. But at a far more advanced level. You can't learn the Gentle Fist without the Byakugan, can you? Kushina asked. Not exactly. You can still learn it, but it won't be as effective. It'll be like ordinary taijutsu. Without the Byakugan, the Gentle Fist's ability to pinpoint chakra points unseal an opponent's chakra couldn't be utilized. I can use the Gentle Fist now. Kushina, want to experience it firsthand? Shin asked with a smile. No thanks. Kushina quickly backed away. I'm not about to let you use me as a test dummy. Shin laughed and continued flipping through the scrolls. So? Mikoto asked. Are we heading back to Hidden Sand Village now? That depends. Shin replied. What do you two want to do? Do you want to go back now? He turned to Kushina and Mikoto, letting them decide. We just got here. Going back so soon would be boring. Kushina said. Might as well enjoy our time out. I agree. Mikoto nodded. It's rare to get a chance to explore freely. Shin smirked. All right. Shin said, nodding. We'll stay out a while longer. Then Kushina suddenly remembered something. Oh, and I still need to collect the bounty. Kushina suddenly remembered. The third Raikage's head is worth 500 million ryo. Where do we collect it? Shin asked. Kushina shrugged. I only know the location of one of their branches in the Land of Fire. That's where I received the mission. It's not far from the Land of Whirlpools. Kushina admitted. Then there's no rush. We can do it when we get back. Shin agreed. As they continued walking, Shin absent-mindedly browsed the jutsu scrolls. Though most of them were irrelevant to him, some were at least interesting. Ugh, the Aburame clan's insect breeding techniques. Hard pass. Shin tossed that scroll aside immediately. Gives me the creeps. Kushina agreed. Here, take these. Shin handed Kushina and Mikoto the Nara clan's shadow imitation technique and the Yamanaka clan's mind-body switch technique. He didn't give them the Akimaki clan's techniques. He didn't want Kushina and Mikoto turning into fatties. And even if he did, they'd probably toss the scrolls away. Shin focused on the Hyuga's Gentle Fist. Though the Hyuga clan was mostly background noise in the original story, their Gentle Fist was a powerful taijutsu style. In Shin's hands, it could be devastating. Chapter 218, You're being too formal. Madara Uchiha leaving the Land of Rain Central Battlefield behind, Shin, Kushina, and Mikoto did not immediately return to Hidden Sand Village. Kushina and Mikoto both wanted Shin to take them on a bit of a scenic detour. "Shin, you've been studying that gentle fist technique for the past few days. How's it going?" Kushina asked. "Obviously, I've already mastered it. That kind of thing is simple for me," Shin replied casually. He wasn't bragging. He was simply stating a fact. Although the Hyuga's gentle fist style had multiple advanced techniques like 8 triground 64 bombs, once he understood the logic, it was child's play. "I'm still stuck on the shadow imitation technique," Kushina muttered. "I think I'll just drop it entirely." Indeed, the Nara clan's shadow-style jutsu didn't mesh well with her fighting style. Kushina already had adamantine sealing chains, which she felt were more convenient for restraining or sealing enemies. Since Kushina had made up her mind, Shin didn't bother to argue. After all, this particular jutsu wouldn't improve her combat abilities much. "Mikoto, you're still studying Yamanaka's techniques?" Kushina asked, glancing over. Mikoto nodded. She felt the mind-body switch technique could come in handy one day. Even if it was only a side project, diving into other clans' techniques was an interesting challenge. Suddenly, Shin halted. A faint, icy gleam flickered in his eyes. "White Zetsu, are you going to come out on your own, or should I drag you out?" Whoosh! From below ground, a strange pale figure emerged. White Zetsu gave Shin a respectful bow. As expected of Shin-sama. "You always see right through me." White Zetsu emerged from the ground. It was no longer surprised by Shin's ability to detect it. At first, White Zetsu had been astonished every time Shin discovered him. By now, it was almost routine. "Gah, this creep again, let's just kill him," Kushina growled, pulling out a kunai. She poised to throw the kunai. White Zetsu panicked. "Wait. Don't kill me. I'm only here because Lord Madara asked me to deliver a message. He wants to see you. He says it's urgent." He babbled in desperation, terrified that if Shin gave the order, he'd be diced into pieces. "Madara Uchiha wants to see me?" Shin narrowed his eyes. Was Madara planning his revival? "Yes. If not for Lord Madara's orders, I wouldn't dare approach you, Shin-sama." "Shin?" Mikoto asked. "Should we kill him now, or—" "No, let him go. Killing him is pointless," Shin said, glancing at White Zetsu. He knew there were countless White Zetsu, killing one wouldn't achieve anything. White Zetsu was only too glad for permission. He vanished in a blur, not sticking around to risk any further confrontation. He ran fast. "That White Zetsu thing is creepy," Kushina said. Its ability to hide was unsettling. If Shin hadn't spoken, she wouldn't have even known it was there. Though she had Kagura's mind's eye, a powerful sensory technique, she couldn't keep it active constantly. "White Zetsu isn't that dangerous," Shin responded. "Black Zetsu is the real threat." Shin wasn't sure about Black Zetsu's abilities. But considering the fact that it had manipulated events for over 1,000 years, and even deceived Madara himself, definitely no pushover. "Shin, are you going to see Madara Uchiha?" Mikoto asked. "Yes." Shin's curiosity had been piqued. He wanted to know why Madara wanted to see him. "Let's go." Shin used Yamatsu Hirasaka to teleport to Madara's underground lair with Kushina and Mikoto. Madara looked even older and more decrepit than before. Practically a ghoul. "Madara, I bet you used to be handsome in your prime. But now, you look like some half-dead ghoul. Not a pretty sight." Shin couldn't help but comment. Kushina cracked a grin, but Madara merely stood there with that stoic face, saying nothing. After a tense moment, he finally spoke, voice raspy. "I called you here to discuss something important. Regarding the future." "Future?" Shin raised an eyebrow. "So, you finally realized your time is almost up?" He gave Madara a once-over, noting the flickering life force still anchored by the Jido statue. Despite that life support, Madara was clearly on borrowed time. "If I had to guess, you could probably last another 4 or 5 years." Shin estimated. "It doesn't matter," Madara replied flatly. "It's meaningless to me now." He recognized that his current body could never accomplish the grand plan. So, in his mind, better to set the stage for a future resurrection than to struggle on in vain. "So you want me here just so you can share your will or something? Last words, maybe?" Shin teased lightly. Madara ignored the sarcasm, his tone grave. "For my eventual return, I will be searching for a pawn to revive me. I hope you won't interfere with him." "Oh, come on," Shin said, stepping forward and clapping Madara on the shoulder, enough force that Madara nearly staggered. "You're so formal. Aren't we partners? I can handle your revival, old man." Madara's eyes flared with annoyance, but he kept his voice calm. "I'll handle my revival. Don't interfere." Madara didn't trust Shin. He wouldn't entrust such an important task to him. He even suspected Shin might try to prevent his revival. "Oh. So you've already picked your pawn?" Shin asked. "No," Madara said curtly. "I haven't truly bound them to my will yet. One day, I'll let you know. Until then, I simply ask you to keep your distance." He'd marked out potential pawns, Obito Uchiha among them. But no final choice had been made. It all depended on how things played out. "So you're not going to tell me anything?" Shin smiled. It didn't matter. He already knew everything. Chapter 219, Failed Threats Turned Back on Him. "Madara, if all you summoned me for was to tell me you're dying and that you've arranged a pawn," Shin said lightly, "then I'm not inclined to stay here any longer." Shin looked around the gloomy cavern. He'd been here before, and he still disliked it. "Let's go. I can't stand this place," Kushina said quickly. The dark, underground space was unsettling. She couldn't understand how Madara could stand living here. "Madara, I suggest you find a nicer place to live. Hiding underground like a rat is embarrassing for someone of your stature." Shin offered Madara some unsolicited advice before leaving. A chill glinted in Madara's eyes, though he remained silent. "Do you want to fight?" Shin asked, noticing the brief murderous intent flicker in Madara's gaze. "If that's the case, count me in." Kushina clenched her fists. She had been wanting to test his strength. "Me too," Mikoto said, activating her eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and glaring at Madara. Madara frowned. That chakra, and those complex patterns. It was definitely the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. He had asked White Zetsu to gather information on Mikoto Uchiha. She shouldn't have been able to awaken the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. And Uzumaki Shin? How had he awakened it? Madara's knowledge of Shin was limited. He only knew about Shin's eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, not his Rinten-Seigan. Even if he did, he wouldn't understand. Shin was the first to possess such eyes. "Madara, if you want to fight, I'm happy to oblige. Just don't regret it later." He was fully aware Madara, in his weakened state, was no match for Kushina and Mikoto together. Let alone Shin himself. Madara hesitated, then shook his head. He hadn't intended to fight. He'd just been annoyed by Shin's mocking words. He wasn't known for his patience. If it weren't for his grand plan, he would have attacked Shin already. Finally, Madara spoke in a cold tone, "Uzumaki Shin, I hope you won't interfere with my revival plan. Otherwise." "Otherwise what?" Madara's implicit threat only served to annoy Shin. He was considering killing Madara right now. Madara's existence had been useful before, but now, Shin didn't care if Madara died or if the entire Naruto storyline collapsed. He had initially wanted Madara to revive Kaguya Otsutsuki so he could copy her immortality, but he had already achieved that. In other words, Madara's existence was no longer essential. Killing him or letting him live was purely Shin's whim at this point. "Even if I die, I have contingencies. Try crossing me if you dare." Madara sat back down and closed his eyes. "Madara, I think you'll find the future more interesting if you're alive. So I'll spare you for now. But don't ever threaten me again." Shin released his chakra, the pressure shaking the cavern, threatening to collapse it. The pressure was focused on Madara, who felt like a mountain was crushing him. An oppressive tidal wave that left him nearly gasping. Kushina and Mikoto quietly watched, letting Shin flex his dominance. Moments later, Shin withdrew the pressure and turned to leave. Once Shin, Kushina, and Mikoto vanished through Yamatsu Hirasaka. The heavy aura lifted. Madara slumped against the wall, sweat beading at his temples. "Is that brat really that strong?" Madara was shaken. Shin's chakra pressure had been suffocating, something he'd never experienced, even when facing Hashirama Senju. He had underestimated Shin, who might be even stronger than he had imagined. How did he gain such power? Madara put that question aside for now. He had to reassess Shin's threat. If Shin interfered, Madara's revival plan would fail. While Madara fretted, Shin felt quite pleased with himself. "He's probably stewing in misery right now," he said with a smile. "He should be. You're a major threat to him. Shin, I think we should just kill him," Mikoto said seriously. She didn't know what Madara might be plotting. He was Madara Uchiha, after all, his schemes were legendary. "I'd also like to fight him," Kushina said confidently. "Don't underestimate him. I can obliterate him with zero effort, but that's me. Kushina, you or Mikoto alone aren't necessarily guaranteed an easy fight. And Mikoto, don't worry too much. Madara is just another pawn of Black Zetsu. With me around, none of his plots matter." Shin said this because he had the power to crush Madara. Before absolute power, schemes were meaningless. And he believed Madara wouldn't do anything reckless against him. He wasn't stupid, he knew the consequences. He wouldn't act without absolute certainty, and that certainty would only come after he became the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. Chapter 220, still as weak as before after traveling for half a month, Shin, Kushina, and Mikoto returned to the land of whirlpools. The situation in the war had changed. The third Raikage's death had greatly impacted Hidden Cloud's village. This was good news for Hidden Leaf Village, but terrible news for Hidden Cloud's village. Their pillar of support was gone. The third Raikage's son had vowed revenge on Shin. Shin had heard the news, but he didn't care. Didn't have the strength to challenge him. Even at his peak, wasn't that impressive in Shin's eyes. He wasn't even as strong as his father. Of course, that was in the original story. Perhaps things would be different now. Maybe would train harder to avenge his father and surpass his original strength. But even if he did, he wouldn't be able to defeat Shin. Hidden Cloud's village couldn't target Hidden Leaf Village for now. The third Raikage's death had caused internal conflict. Who had just become the fourth Raikage, had to withdraw and deal with the problems within the village. Hidden Leaf Village had benefited greatly. All they had to pay was 1 billion ryo. On the Land of Rain battlefield, things were also looking up for Hidden Leaf Village. Minato Namikaze was turning the tide with his Flying Thunder God technique. He could easily kill Jonin, and no one could stop him. And in their fight against Hidden Mist Village, the Uchiha clan was finally able to unleash their full power. The situation was improving for Hidden Leaf Village. "You're back early," Tsunade said when she saw Shin, Kushina, and Mikoto. Shin could sense resentment in her voice. She was angry. The third Raikage wasn't easy to deal with. "It took some time," Shin said with a chuckle. "Shin, the third Raikage died half a month ago," Conan said. "Humphrey, you were out having fun for half a month. You must have forgotten about us," Kushina poked Shin. That was a terrible excuse. Mikoto looked embarrassed. If Shin hadn't said they should return, they would still be out there having fun. Maitru Mummy watched them, enjoying the drama. She even giggled at Shin's awkwardness. Shin glanced at Maitru Mummy. She had grown bolder. She even dared to laugh at him now. He decided to ignore her for now and focus on appeasing Tsunade and Conan. It took a lot of effort to calm them down. Tsunade regretted not going with them. She should have gone instead of researching wood style. "By the way, Denzo sent someone to deliver this." Tsunade placed 900 million ryo before Shin. "Why did Denzo send this much money?" she asked curiously. "We killed the third Raikage and earned some extra money from Denzo. We made a total of 1.5 billion ryo this time," Shin said with a smile. Kushina had already collected the reward from the black market. They had originally planned to give the third Raikage's body to the black market as proof of his death. But Shin didn't give it to them, and they didn't complain. As long as they confirmed the third Raikage was dead, it was fine. They didn't dare to anger the Reaper of the Shinobi world. "I earned all this money." Kushina's eyes were practically sparkling. "Shin was the one who killed the third Raikage, not you. So technically, Shin earned the money," Mikoto said. "Shin only delivered the final blow. The Raikage was already on his last breath. And even if Shin earned it, it's still mine." Kushina put the money away. I want to check on your training. Come with me," Shin said, glancing at Mai. He hadn't forgotten her laughing at him earlier. He would use this opportunity to punish her. Mai's heart skipped a beat. She looked at Shin's expressionless face and gulped. "Let's go." Shin didn't give her a chance to refuse. "Conan, I think I'm in trouble," Mai said, her face pale. "It's because you were laughing at him earlier. Shin can be petty sometimes," Conan whispered. "Did I just hear someone call me petty? Did I mishear?" Shin suddenly popped his head back in, looking at Conan. "No, Shin. You must have misheard." Conan blushed, embarrassed. She hadn't expected him to hear her. "Fine, I'll let it slide this time." Conan breathed a sigh of relief. "Mai, what are you waiting for? Come on." Maitru Mummy had no choice but to follow Shin. She hoped he wouldn't be too harsh on her, considering she was a beautiful girl. At the training grounds, Shin didn't actually punish her. He just tested her strength. "You've improved, but not much," Shin said, looking at Mai. "I feel like I've gotten a lot stronger," Mai muttered. She was satisfied with her progress, which was far faster than before, thanks to Shin's guidance. "Really? I don't see it. You're still as weak as before." Mai was indignant. "Weak? That's so mean." She thought her strength was outstanding for her age. "How old are you?" Shin asked. Maitru Mummy was stunned. "I just turned 16. Why are you asking? Are you trying to gather intel on me so you can pursue me?" Thwack. Shin flicked her forehead. "You're overthinking it. Your imagination is quite impressive, though." Maitru Mummy rubbed her forehead, pouting. Why did he hit her? It wasn't gentlemanly at all. She wasn't the mature woman she would become in the future. She was still a 16-year-old girl. Chapter 221, the final stretch of the third Great Ninja War. After testing Maitru Mumi's strength, Shin also gave her some pointers on her training. Now that she was one of them, he didn't mind helping her improve. Why is Mai sulking? Did you bully her? Kushina asked Shin when they returned home, noticing Maitru Mumi's pouting face. What? Kushina, you're questioning my character. I would never bully a girl. Shin said, feigning indignation. Yes, you would. You've been bullying me since we were kids. Shin was dumbfounded. That was a blatant lie. He had never bullied Kushina. See? You're trying to bully me right now. Kushina said, seeing his indignant expression. You're right. I am going to bully you. Shin grabbed Kushina, who was trying to escape, and gave her a thorough punishment. If she was going to accuse him of bullying, he might as well do it. Mean. Kushina rubbed her red cheeks. Shin had pinched them so hard they were swollen. Shin chuckled, enjoying her frustration. Don't blame me, you asked for it. And I really didn't bully Mai. Yes, you did. Maitru Mumi glared at Shin. He had called her weak. Oh? How did I bully you? You said I was weak. You think that's bullying? I was just stating a fact. You are weak. Shin said matter-of-factly. Maitru Mumi took a deep breath. She was angry. Back in Hidden Mist Village, she was a renowned ninja, one of the strongest in the village, and now Shin was calling her weak? She wanted to argue, but she couldn't. Compared to him, she really wasn't that strong. Maitru Mumi lowered her head dejectedly. She had to train harder. She had always been diligent. Otherwise, she wouldn't have reached the level of an elite jonin at her age. And among elite jonin, she was one of the strongest. After all, she had KK Genkai. Shinobi with KK Genkai were generally stronger than those without. Time passed, and the Third Shinobi World War continued. But it was nearing its end. Compared to the Second Shinobi World War, this war was ending faster. But more brutal. Hidden Leaf Village, initially struggling, had turned the tide thanks to Minato Namikaze. They were on the path to victory. Of course, Shin and his team had also contributed to Hidden Leaf Village's advantage. After all, this war was different from the one in the original story. If they hadn't killed the third Raikage, Hidden Leaf Village's victory wouldn't have been so assured. The Kanabe Bridge incident had already occurred, unfolding much like in the original story. Kakashi Hatake had been injured and received Obito Uchiha's Sharingan, while Obito was presumed dead. But in reality, Obito had been saved by Madara Uchiha and was currently recovering at Madara's hideout. And Madara was planning to manipulate Obito into becoming his pawn to revive him. He knew exactly how to exploit an Uchiha's weaknesses, especially one with strong emotional attachments like Obito. His bond with Rin Nohara made him an easy target. Boil style, skilled mist technique. Maitru Mumi formed hand seals and spewed out a cloud of corrosive mist towards Shin. That's just steam. Shin said, then the mist turned into ice shards before it could reach him. Damn it. My attacks are useless. Maitru Mumi stamped her foot in frustration. They're not weak. Just not effective against me. Shin consoled her. If you can learn Sage Mode, your jutsu will become even stronger. But that's a big if. Mai's pretty impressive. She has 2 KK Genkai now. Tsunoda said. Maitru Mumi had Lava Style before, and now she also had Boil Style. Both obtained through her own efforts. Even Tsunoda was impressed. Maitru Mumi was talented, perhaps even more talented than her. You're quasi-Kage level now, but not quite a true Kage. Your chakra reserves are holding you back. If you had more chakra, you'd be a Kage level shinobi easily. Shin said, patting Maitru Mumi's shoulder. Although Kage level wasn't much in Shin's eyes, it was still a high level of strength in the shinobi world. Even in the great villages, there weren't many Kage level shinobi. Maitru Mumi's rapid progress in less than a year was impressive. So you acknowledge my strength? Maitru Mumi looked at Shin hopefully. Does strength require acknowledgement? You should acknowledge your own strength. Oh, so you still don't acknowledge my strength? You still think I'm weak? Maitru Mumi's joy vanished, and she lowered her head dejectedly. Tsunoda, how's your wood style training coming along? Shin asked Tsunoda after shrugging at Maitru Mumi. Don't even mention it. It's frustrating. Tsunoda had been working hard, but there was no progress. She still couldn't grasp wood style. It's not your fault, Tsunoda. It's Shin's fault for being a bad teacher. Kushina said. Shin glared at Kushina. While he appreciated her attempt to comfort Tsunoda, blaming him wasn't fair. I'm starting to think I'm just not talented. Tsunoda said, shaking her head. Keep at it, Tsunoda. You'll awaken it eventually. You haven't been practicing for that long. Be patient. Shin said encouragingly. Chapter 222, Meeting Obito Uchiha White Zetsu, You've got some nerve showing up here. Shin looked at White Zetsu. Or rather, Black Zetsu and White Zetsu. White Zetsu was on the left, Black Zetsu on the right. Black Zetsu's presence meant Madara Uchiha was dead. Black Zetsu was the one Madara had entrusted with monitoring Obito and ensuring the plan stayed on track. Madara thought Black Zetsu was a product of his will, but in reality, Black Zetsu served Kaguya Otsutsuki. Madara was just a pawn. After hiding in the shadows for over 1,000 years, Black Zetsu was finally stepping into the light. Black Zetsu looked at Shin without speaking. Shin was an anomaly, a threat to his plan to revive his mother, Kaguya. If possible, Black Zetsu would do anything to eliminate this variable. But he didn't know anything about Shin. He didn't dare attack, and he didn't have any means to defeat Shin. Shin-sama, I came here to tell you something. You're here to tell me that Madara Uchiha is dead, right? Shin asked, glancing at Black Zetsu. How did Shin-sama know? White Zetsu asked in surprise. Get to the point. You're not just here to tell me that, are you? Shin didn't answer White Zetsu's question, and White Zetsu didn't dare to press further. If even Madara couldn't handle Shin, what could it do? Madara-sama chose a pawn to carry out his plan before he died. His name is Obito Uchiha. He has awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan and is quite strong. Obito Uchiha is currently carrying out Madara-sama's will under his name. If you ever cross paths with him, please spare him. Black Zetsu and White Zetsu had come to warn Shin about Obito, hoping to prevent a conflict. Obito was crucial to the Eye of the Moon plan. If he died, there'd be no one to guide the plan. As for Shin, who was Madara's collaborator, neither Madara nor Black Zetsu had any expectations of him. They would be grateful if Shin didn't interfere. I understand. I'm not that unreasonable. I won't kill him unless he pushes me. Shin said with a smile. Since we're done, you can leave. Black Zetsu and White Zetsu glanced at Shin and left. They were relieved that Shin wouldn't interfere. I forgot to ask about Obito's whereabouts. After they left, Shin realized he had forgotten to ask where Obito was. He wanted to find Obito and copy his Kamui. Kamui was a powerful space-time ninjutsu. Shin wanted to copy it. Having a personal dimension like Kamui's would be useful for storing things. And Kamui was also quite versatile. The right eye could teleport the user or others into the Kamui dimension, and it could also make the user intangible. The weakness was that it had a time limit. In its single-eye state, it could only be used for 5 minutes before the user had to wait another 5 minutes to use it again. But this weakness wouldn't apply to Shin. His ocular power was far greater than Obito's. In terms of ocular power, Shin was second to none. The left eye could teleport objects or people over long distances. It could also be used to attack the Kamui dimension. Shin used Yamatsu Hirosake to intercept Black Zetsu and White Zetsu. Tell me where Obito Uchiha is. Shin said. Shin-sama, why are you looking for Obito Uchiha? White Zetsu asked cautiously. I just want to meet him. He must be special to be chosen by Madara Uchiha as his pawn. Shin said calmly. Obito was indeed special. He might have been a loser before, but now he was powerful. Please don't interfere with Madara-sama's plan. He might be dead, but he has contingencies. Black Zetsu said in a deep voice. Oh? Black Zetsu, is that a threat? Shin looked at Black Zetsu, his eyes narrowed slightly. Although he didn't release his chakra, Black Zetsu still felt a sense of danger. He was shocked. This was the first time he had felt true fear, a sense of impending doom. Shin-sama, you knew he was Black Zetsu without me even saying it. Black Zetsu didn't mean anything by it. Please forgive him, Shin-sama. White Zetsu immediately started groveling, inwardly cursing Black Zetsu. Although they were currently one being, their relationship wasn't good. Though they appeared as one, their relationship wasn't good. Black Zetsu looked down on White Zetsu, knowing its origins as a creation of Kaguya Otsutsuki. Shin frowned at the fawning White Zetsu, then said impatiently. Take me to Obito Uchiha. Yes, right away. White Zetsu nodded quickly. Black Zetsu didn't object either. He didn't dare. He could sense that Shin could really kill him. He decided to be cautious. Following Black Zetsu and White Zetsu, Shin finally met Obito Uchiha, a truly pitiful pawn. Zetsu, who was this? The masked Obito frowned. Zetsu had brought a stranger to meet him without even asking. This is Uzumaki Shin, Madara-sama's collaborator. There's no need to hide your identity in front of him. White Zetsu said. Obito frowned and looked at Shin, feeling even more annoyed. He didn't know Madara had a partner. Madara had never mentioned it. He clearly didn't trust Obito. Chapter 223, Why do you also have Kamui? As Obito Uchiha looked at him, Shin was also looking at Obito. He looked at the masked Obito, his aura dark and gloomy. It was hard to imagine that Obito was once a cheerful boy. So you're the famous Reaper of the Shinobi world? Obito's eyes had turned into the Mangekyo Sharingan, and his aura was sharp. He didn't notice the anxiety in White Zetsu's eyes. This guy better not do anything stupid. According to the information he had gathered, Shin Uzumaki was ruthless. If Obito was killed, they would have to activate the backup plan, a contingency plan Madara had left behind. Kids these days are so presumptuous. Are you trying to intimidate me? Shin wasn't angered by Obito's attempt to assert dominance. System, use an advanced replication card to copy the Mangekyo Sharingan's Kamui ability. Shin said to the system. He had 7 common replication cards, 2 advanced replication cards, and 1 divine replication card. He wasn't short on cards to copy Jujutsu. He had created the divine replication card by combining 5 advanced replication cards. He felt nothing as he copied Kamui, but he could now sense the existence of the Kamui dimension. His own personal Kamui dimension, separate from Obito's. Honestly, I'm disappointed. You're weak. Shin said, looking at Obito. Obito's strength wasn't that impressive. He was only dangerous because of Kamui. But even Kamui wasn't invincible. There were ways to counter it. Yamatsu Hirasaka could allow him to enter Obito's Kamui dimension. And there was also the sealing technique, spatial lock, which could temporarily disable Kamui. Without Kamui, Obito was at most an elite Jonin. That was why Shin called him weak. But it was understandable. Obito was still young. Not everyone was a cheat like Shin. You think I'm weak? Obito's eyes narrowed dangerously, and he attacked Shin with his kunai. His attack was ruthless, aimed at Shin's vitals. Is there a problem calling you weak? Shin ignored Obito's attack, which passed right through him as if he was an illusion. What? Obito's eyes widened in shock. It wasn't because his attack failed. He hadn't expected it to work anyway. Shin was the Reaper of the Shinobi world. If such a simple attack could harm him, he wouldn't deserve his title. What shocked Obito was that Shin had used his own Kamui. How can you also use Kamui? Obito's face paled. His most prized ability, the one he was most proud of, was also possessed by someone else? Hadn't Madara said that every Mangekyo Sharingan was different? That there were no duplicate abilities? Obito felt betrayed. Surprised? There's nothing to be surprised about. Shin said, enjoying Obito's shock. He wondered what Madara's expression would be if he saw Shin use limbo, border jail. Too bad Madara was dead. He probably wouldn't see Madara again for at least 10 or 20 years. But the future was uncertain. Perhaps Madara wouldn't even have the chance to be revived. You also have the Mangekyo Sharingan? Your ability is also Kamui? Obito asked. He knew Shin had the Sharingan. It wasn't a secret. During the Second Shinobi World War, Shin had used the Susanoo to wreak havoc. Everyone knew he had the Sharingan. Black Zetsu looked at Shin, trying to glean more information. That's right. Shin nodded calmly. It's a shame you only have one eye. Shin said, shaking his head. Bastard. Are you looking down on me? Obito's fragile ego was bruised. He thought Shin was mocking him. Shin wasn't mocking him. He was just disappointed that he had only copied the right eye's Kamui. The left eye was still with Kakashi Hatake. If Obito had both eyes, Shin could have copied both abilities. You'll pay for that. Obito roared and attacked Shin relentlessly. As the wielder of Kamui, he knew its weakness. If he attacked continuously for 5 minutes, he could break through Kamui's intangibility. 5 minutes passed, and Obito was drenched in sweat, but he continued attacking. Another 5 minutes passed. 10 in total. Yet Shin stayed in the Kamui intangibility state the entire time. Impossible. How can you use Kamui continuously? Obito asked, unwilling to accept this. My power is beyond your comprehension. Shin grabbed Obito's neck and lifted him. Obito couldn't resist at all. My Kamui. It's not working? Obito was shocked. Black Zetsu was silent. He couldn't show any emotions on his dark face, but inwardly he was panicking. Obito's Kamui was powerful, even troublesome to Black Zetsu. And now Shin possessed it as well? And he could even counter Obito's Kamui with ease. Shin was holding Obito like a chicken. Chapter 224, Does Maitru Mami have a crush on me? Shin-sama, please calm down. White Zetsu pleaded, watching Shin hold Obito by the throat. He was afraid Shin would kill him. Shin-sama, his death wouldn't benefit you. Black Zetsu also said. He was the most worried. Obito was crucial to his plan. He couldn't let anything happen to Obito before Madara was revived. I'll spare you for Kamui's sake. Consider it a pardon for attacking me. Shin tossed Obito aside like a rag doll. He crashed to the ground, raising a cloud of dust. Cough, cough. Obito clutched his throat, glaring at Shin with a mixture of anger and fear. Inform me of your plans. All of them. Shin looked at Black Zetsu and Obito. Are you planning to participate, Shin-sama? Black Zetsu was worried. Would Shin disrupt his plan? Do you have a problem with that? Shin's sharp gaze pierced through Black Zetsu, making him unable to meet Shin's eyes. No. Black Zetsu realized Shin was more dangerous than it had anticipated. Just his gaze was oppressive. He hoped the plan would succeed. Once Kaguya was revived, Uzumaki Shin wouldn't be a threat. Black Zetsu believed his mother was invincible. No one could defeat her. She was a true goddess. Shin left. His main goal was to copy Obito's Kamui, and he had achieved that. After Shin left, Obito got up, his face filled with anger. Obito, I advise you not to do anything you'll regret. You're not a match for Uzumaki Shin. Black Zetsu said. Humphrey, aren't you Madara's will? Why are you so spineless in front of him? Obito scoffed. I'm Madara's will, but I'm not Madara. Obito, Black Zetsu's right. Even Madara-sama was wary of Uzumaki Shin. Frankly, you're not strong enough to challenge him. White Zetsu's words were harsh, almost making Obito explode. If you want to become stronger, I can give you some advice. Retrieve your other eye. Only with both eyes can you unleash the true power of the Mangekyo Sharingan. Black Zetsu said. He wanted Obito to become stronger. The stronger Obito was, the easier it would be to complete the Eye of the Moon plan and revive Kaguya Otsutsuki. Don't mention that again. Obito glared at Black Zetsu, silencing it. Though he had seen Kakashi kill Rin with his own eyes, he still couldn't bring himself to harm his former friend and teammate. Rin wasn't his only love, he also cared deeply for Kakashi. Shin, where did you go? Shin had just returned home when Kushina looked at him suspiciously, like she was interrogating a criminal. She even leaned closer and sniffed him. What are you doing? Shin asked, speechless. It seems you didn't sneak out to meet another girl. Kushina said. You're delusional. Why would I go looking for other women when I have you all? Shin flicked her forehead. Kushina rubbed her head, pouting. Kushina's suspicion isn't unreasonable. The honeymoon phase doesn't last forever. Tsunade said. And Shin is the type to act on his impulses. Mikoto added. My reputation isn't very good, is it? Shin sighed dramatically. He didn't think his image was that bad. He sat down, poured himself a cup of tea, and said. I actually went out to do something. I forgot to tell you guys. What was it? Kushina asked curiously. Kushina was always curious. Shin didn't hide it from them. It wasn't anything shady. If he did hide it, they would be even more suspicious. Madara Uchiha is dead. Zetsu came to tell me, and I went to see the pawn he chose. Madara Uchiha is dead? Tsunade was happy to hear that. She had been waiting for Madara to die for a long time. If Madara had wanted to, he could have lived for a few more years. But he probably didn't want to live like that anymore, so he had made his preparations and died peacefully. Who's the pawn Madara chose? Obito Uchiha. He is a member of the Uchiha clan, Minato no Mikeji's student. A hidden genius. Obito might have been a loser in the academy, but he was actually a genius. He had awakened the Tutomoe Sharingan right away, then the Mangekyo Sharingan. Where are Konan and Mai? Shin hadn't seen them since he returned. They went to train. You know how diligent Konan is. And Mai is also working hard, probably because of you. Mikoto said with a smile. Because of me? Shin looked at her in confusion. What did Maitru Mami's training have to do with him? You forgot? You kept saying she was weak. So she wants to prove herself. I think she might have a crush on you. Tsunade's gaze sharpened. Nonsense. I didn't notice anything. Shin ignored Tsunade's glare and shook his head. He hadn't noticed any romantic interest from Mai. Chapter 225, Shin must be up to no good. Shin, I wasn't kidding. I think that girl really has a thing for you. Mikoto, Kushina, what do you think? Tsunade looked at Mikoto and Kushina. Does she? Kushina asked, confused. She hadn't noticed. She thought Mai and Shin didn't get along very well. Tsunade shook her head. She shouldn't have asked Kushina. Maybe. Mai seems to care about what you think, Shin. Mikoto said after a moment of thought. Bam. Don't talk nonsense. I have no feelings for him. Maitru Mami burst into the room, her face flushed, vehemently denying their accusations. She had just returned and overheard their conversation. She glared at Shin. How dare they say she liked him? He was so annoying. Ouch, saying that in front of me hurts my feelings. You're making me feel like I'm not attractive. Shin flicked her forehead. Just you wait. One day I'll beat you up. Maitru Mami threatened. Girl, you've got guts. Good luck with that. Kushina stood behind Mai, patting her shoulder, and smirked. Maitru Mummy felt a bit nervous after making her bold statement, but when she saw Shin looking at her, she raised her chin defiantly. She wouldn't back down. Well, you guys keep chatting. I'll be taking her outside for a little lesson. Shin stood up with a smile and dragged Maitru Mummy away. Maitru Mummy struggled, but it was futile. She vowed not to give in, she had her pride. What's going on? Conan had just entered and saw Shin dragging Maitru Mummy away. She had returned later than Maitru Mummy and didn't know what had happened. Maitru Mummy was being a smart aleck and got dragged away by Shin for punishment. Kushina said with a grin, imagining Maitru Mummy's miserable state. Shin soon returned with Maitru Mummy, who was now meekly following behind him, looking completely defeated. That was fast. Kushina wanted to tease her. She had been acting all tough before, but she surrendered so quickly. Still planning to beat me to a pulp? Shin asked Maitru Mummy with a smile. No, I wouldn't dare. Maitru Mummy shook her head quickly, her previous arrogance gone. Alright, sit down. Why are you standing? Shin looked at Maitru Mummy and pulled her towards a chair. Maitru Mummy glared at him. Sit down? She couldn't even stand properly. Her butt was swollen. No, I'll stand. Maitru Mummy said through gritted teeth. She wanted to bite Shin. Kushina, Mikoto, Tsunade, and Conan looked at her strangely. Maitru Mummy didn't want them to find out about her punishment. It was too embarrassing. She quickly took a few steps back, trying to hide it. Thankfully, they didn't notice. Maitru Mummy sighed in relief, but she still couldn't sit down. She glared at Shin again, then excused herself and went to her room. She didn't want to be exposed. After Maitru Mummy left, Kushina and the others glared at Shin. Shin, what did you do? Conan asked. Nothing. If you want to know, ask Maitru Mummy. But I doubt she'll tell you. Shin wouldn't tell them. Maitru Mummy would probably kill him if he did. Judging by how she's acting, Shin must have done something inappropriate. Kushina said. Shin, I have some training questions. Can you help me? Conan sat down beside Shin. She had wanted to ask Shin before, but he wasn't there. What is it? The Flying Thunder God technique. I think I'm getting the hang of it, but there are still some things I don't understand. Conan, you're learning the Flying Thunder God technique? Tsunade looked at her in surprise. Tsunade had also tried to learn the Flying Thunder God technique before, after seeing how convenient Shin's space-time ninjutsu was. But she wasn't talented in that area and couldn't learn it. Not just her, but Mikoto and Kushina had also tried to learn it, but none of them succeeded. Yes, I've been practicing for a while now, and I'm starting to understand it. Conan nodded. It was a difficult technique. That's impressive. I couldn't even get started. Kushina said. She had given up on learning the Flying Thunder God technique long ago. Conan, what don't you understand? I can explain it to you. Shin said. He understood the Flying Thunder God technique well, having studied it thoroughly. Although he had Yamatsu Hirasaka, a superior space-time ninjutsu, he still learned Flying Thunder God technique to expand his knowledge. He had a natural talent for space-time ninjutsu, and his understanding of spatial manipulation was already quite advanced. He'd mastered it quickly and was confident his understanding surpassed even Minato Namikage's. I can't seem to create the Flying Thunder God formula. The Flying Thunder God technique couldn't be used for teleportation without the Flying Thunder God formula. Shin nodded, then asked Kushina, Mikoto, and Tsunade. I see. Do you three want to learn it too? No, thanks. I'd like to, but I know I can't. Kushina shook her head. She had already given up on learning the Flying Thunder God technique. Mikoto and Tsunade also refused. Shin didn't force them. Without talent in space-time ninjutsu, it was impossible to learn the Flying Thunder God technique. Shin then taught Conan alone, sharing his understanding of the technique with her. Conan had made some progress, which meant she had some talent in space-time ninjutsu. Perhaps she could really learn it. Conan listened attentively, taking notes and planning to study them later. Chapter 226, Eliminating Yahiko? During this period, Shin mostly stayed in the land of whirlpools, helping Conan with the Flying Thunder God. Thanks to her natural gifts and Shin's thorough guidance, Conan finally grasped the fundamentals of space-time ninjutsu. She had progressed to the point of performing the jutsu, though slowly. But with enough practice, she'd soon master it. Can you help me with my training? Maitru Mummy asked Shin, who was practicing taijutsu. Sure. But my back is sore. Give me a massage first. Shin asked with a smile. Maitru Mummy wanted to leave, but she stopped herself. She gritted her teeth and walked towards Shin.